It's time for Twig. This week in Google, Stacy Higginbotham is here. Aunt Pruitt is here. Jeff Jarvis is here. We'll talk about the NFL Sunday Ticket. I think it might not be selling all that well on YouTube TV. They've got some discounts. We'll also talk about the Robotaxi victory in California. Looks like maybe a loss for people who live in San Francisco. And why broadcast and cable are in deep, deep trouble. That and a waffle party coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig. This week in Google, episode 729, recorded Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. Waffle Party. This week in Google is brought to you by ACI Learning. ACI's new cyber skills is training that's for everyone, not just the pros. Visit go.acilearning.com/twit. Twit listeners will receive at least 20% off or as much as 65% off an IT Pro Enterprise Solution Plan. The discount is based on the size of your team, and when you fill out the form, you'll receive a proper quote tailored to your needs. And by the Building Cyber Resilience Podcast, a show about tech and security from the perspectives of a data scientist, Dr. Ann Irvin, and career CISO Rich Sierson regarding the intersection of data, finance, and cyber risk management. Search for Building Cyber Resilience on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's time for Twig. This week in Google, the show we cover the latest from the Googleverse. We are, Aunt Pruitt is here, and I am here. We are wearing the brand new Twit t-shirts, twit.tv/store. What do we call this? The Rainbow Cloud.
It's either that or the anemone.
Or the sea anemone.
Anemone.
Anemone. That's Stacy Higginbotham. Stacy on IoT.com and the IoT podcast with Kevin Toffel. Hello, Stacy.
Hello, y'all.
Wonderful to see you. And ladies and gentlemen, now wearing a blue, no, is that gray? Gray jacket.
Woohoo! Gray.
Because the hobo jacket from last week just didn't help. I give you Jeff Jarvis, the director of the Town Night Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Gray. Doves aren't gray, they're white. Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. I'm sorry, doves aren't white, they're gray. I want to.
So it's Craig. Craig sent a picture to prove it.
Issue this retraction.
So is that a dove-covered jacket?
Oh. Give her a rim shot for that
one. Oh, my.
Actually,
Miss Segway.
We did make use of last week's jacket, or I should I say Joe Esposito made use of last week's jacket for our sticker of the week.
Yes.
Jafredo Javinio says, "Yous all are so funny." I like the hat and the cornu, the gold cornu.
Oh, it's just beautiful.
Jeff doesn't look amused.
It doesn't look amused on the sticker either, frankly. It's yeah. He looks bemused as opposed to amused. Isn't that strange that amused and bemused? Is there a C-mused?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Amused.
Mr. Jammerby,
No,
is
it's
there
not.
a C-mused?
No, it's not. Just move on.
Okay.
NFL Sunday Ticket. I'm going to read between the lines on this one. Google was charging, what did you said it was too much for you. It was
it was way too much. It's $300.
$300?
Yes.
$299 for the season. It was, you get all the NFL games on Sunday. Google paid, we expect multiple billions of dollars for this privilege. But you know what? I'm thinking maybe people didn't sign up because they're suddenly
imagine that
offering flexible billing, student plans.
Well, the thing is, though, DirecTV used to do the same thing. They figured out like a little installment plan for it because it was still $300-$400 back in the days with them too. So
it's $299 right now. If you wait till the season starts, $350. We ordered immediately because Packers fan son wants to see all the Packers games because we see the local games. We don't need it for that. We see the Niners on TV.
Right.
But if you want to see all the teams. So now YouTube has announced monthly payment plans, student plans. They're going to add some technology. I think it's interesting. Live chat, polls, real-time NFL highlights, real-time in YouTube Shorts. They're really beefing up Shorts. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Multi-view, so you can have multiple games on the screen at the same time. And a key plays feature, which tracks the most important plays in the game. They did that last season. I loved that.
Yeah.
Because if you're catching up with a game and you missed the first half, you could see all the important things that happened up. And in an NFL game, there's really only 11 minutes of action.
You watch your mouth, sir.
It's true.
You watch your mouth talking about football. 11
minutes of action. So you can really zip through it if you want.
How dare
you have to watch all 3 hours. Oh, I watch all 3 hours. I like the ads too. YouTube is doing a flexible billing plan, except in Georgia, Minnesota, Missouri, New York, New Jersey, Nevada, and Tennessee. I don't know, maybe it's a law or something. They're not going to offer it there.
I was wondering if it's taxation, but Georgia has state tax. Tennessee does not.
Well, California's got the highest income tax. Sales tax. I don't know why these states are left out. Sorry, Jeff. You're in New Jersey. You can't. Jeff doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's going to buy the NFL.
He's like, and I care because. I like what they're trying to do, but I don't necessarily care for having the in-game chat while I'm watching it. But I guess people that are far from their families that they grew up with in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's also trash talk.
Trash talk.
That's fun. I think that's like watching live television. Like, remember when we all got excited watching live television and using Twitter to talk?
Oh yeah, live tweeting.
Remember Twitter?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Live tweeting.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I think there's like Watch Party. Have y'all done a Watch Party with anyone, like on Netflix?
Have you?
We did.
Other services. Yeah.
We did one with Twit back in the days. Twit After Hours. We did.
That's right.
We watched that crazy tiger something other.
That was so horrible.
It was horrible. It was
Tiger
horrible,
King.
but we had a good time as a community.
It was kind of towards the beginning of COVID, and we Lisa and I streamed out of our living room. We were watching it.
Yeah.
Did you were at home?
I was at the house. Yes.
Everybody was watching it, and we were all kind of. It was trash talking it most of the time.
Yeah, like what the heck is this crap? But we had a good time as a community.
I forgot we did that.
Yeah, I remember that
was a lot of fun.
Stuff.
I mean, yeah. So I feel like sports are kind of another area where it might be fun for exactly that, the trash talk, like when you're or with your friends. I don't know. But I could be wrong. I don't watch sports, so I don't know.
Oh, but it makes sense. I know I'm a bit of an outlier on it because for me, when the football game is on, I don't even know where my phone is. I assume the family is in the house. I totally shut down and just focus on the game.
Is it don't bother dad time?
Yes, I have officially finished paying my dues for the year. As of last weekend, because football season is getting ready to start. So, yes, no one will be bothering me for the next 5 months.
My trainer, actually, he's not my trainer, my stretcher. He stretches. He stretches. You can't really call it a trainer if you're not doing anything. If you're just lying there and he's stretching you, that's not a trainer. He's like he's physical.
That's still
therapist.
A trainer.
Mobility is important, man.
Medicine.
It is.
That's
So
still a trainer.
He's your Gumby.
This might be TMI, but 3 times a week I go and get stretched for half an hour.
Nothing
Anyway,
wrong with
the guy who does
Call it PT.
Yeah, I'd call it PT. Yeah. The guy who does it says, I'm not allowed TV in the football in the house because he says I zone out. I can't watch. They don't allow me sports.
Wow.
I zone out.
I earned those 5 months out of the year. I earned them.
5 months.
I give the family the other. What is it? 7 months.
That's fair.
So give me 5.
Do you negotiate that?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a deal. Give me these 5 months. I'll give you 7.
Has it started as preseason?
I'll listen to your musical.
I don't count the preseason.
You give me football.
Okay.
But I am officially out of my 7-month period as of last weekend. So we're good.
So we're lucky that you're even talking to us.
No, y'all are not people. I love y'all.
We're lucky there's no game on. That's what's. There's nothing on Wednesday afternoon. Thank goodness.
This is true.
When watching the Niners with Lisa is incredible because I've never seen anybody so engaged in the game. She's not just sit there passively watching.
Right.
She's hoarse at the end of the game.
Yeah.
She's screaming. It's like she thinks they can hear her.
Yeah. Been
Get
there.
him! Get him!
Yeah. Been there. Done that.
It
Still
makes
do
it. I have to say,
that.
it makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah.
It's like so much fun to watch, and I'm kind of getting into it. I go get him, and it's stop him.
You
What
can
are
do
you?
it.
What are you doing?
No. Oh no. It's usually a lot more expletive laden.
It's fun. Good news for Joan Donovan. Now, we have kind of hesitated to talk about this, but Jeff, you might have more insight into it. She's certainly been hesitant. We've had her on the show. She's brilliant, disinformation researcher. She was working for Harvard at the Kennedy School? Was it part of the Kennedy School? It was a program she'd created, and I might point out, raised money for considerable millions of dollars, $5 million for a team of faculty, staff, and students to study disinformation and media manipulation. We've had her on many times to talk about that on the show. She's brilliant. She was director since 2019 of the Shorenstein Technology and Social Change Research Project at Harvard. They fired her summarily. Their excuse was, well, we can't allow somebody who's not full faculty to lead a program like this. That sounds like it was more.
Well, and Leo, it's worse. I know 3 other people in programs before who went through the same thing. And they went through before Joan went there, but Joan was really wanted to go to Boston.
She must have known.
Full disclosure is I gave Facebook money to Data and Society when Joan was there for Joan's work in disinformation in the early days. And I'm a big supporter of Joan. And so other people we respect greatly left the Shorenstein Center under similar circumstances where they just screwed them over. They made promises of what they're going to be able to do. And then they said, oh, no, you're not full faculty. No, you can't research this. No, you can't publish that. No, you can't have any access to your budget. Just really screwed them over. And then Joan goes and, aware of that, negotiates what we think is a good, secure package, does phenomenal work, and then the same snotty thing happens to her. So God bless Boston University. BU 1, Harvard 0.
The Washington Post says the university cited a rule that research projects need to be led by full faculty members, but the decision came amid mounting political pressure on work like Donovan's. 2 state attorneys general have won early rounds of lawsuits accusing academics, like another person who's been on this show, Stanford University's Alex Stamos at the Internet Observatory at Stanford, who does the same kind of work on disinformation, of participating in a wide-ranging conspiracy with government officials to censor conservative or anti-vaccine content on social media. This is that same Jim Jordan, Josh Hawley.
They found their bludgeon, and they're going to use it everywhere.
It's
successfully.
right-wing BS.
Even at Harvard. You'd think they'd be immune from this crap.
Well,
they are not.
They're
Harvard,
far from it.
really?
Go ahead.
Harvard has plenty of money.
No, Stacy,
Well,
go ahead,
they
explain.
have plenty of money, but they have a very conservative viewpoint, I would say. I don't look
Their
to
establishment.
Harvard to shake things up.
Their establishment. And I went to
They
Yale,
are the essence of establishment.
which is similar, but yes, Harvard and Yale have massive endowments. They're never going to want for money, but for some reason they still want more. They're always fundraising. They're always asking me for money. And I guess they don't want to offend their conservative constituency, maybe. I don't
Why are
know.
they asking you for money?
Yeah,
I thought
really.
you went to Yale.
Yeah, you went to Yale.
No, Harvard's not asking me for money.
Oh, I thought.
Yale's asking.
Harvard was
I'm putting.
Yale.
I know it's not the
No,
same.
he's
My
saying
friend
just
who,
the Ivy in general.
my brother-in-law, who
This
is
is the
dean
transitive
of
property,
Harvard.
the Ivy League transitive.
Yeah, it's a transitive. It's all the same. My brother-in-law is dean of Yale Drama, but went to Harvard. Says he works at the best school in New Haven. So he doesn't, as a Harvard man, he kind of looks down on a Yale man. But I think they're related in the sense that even though they have vast endowments, billions, I mean, literally billions of endowments, they're still always raising money, and they're very much beholden to their conservative donors. Their donors are older Ivy League graduates. Well, what do you think? Of course they're conservative. Although, Jeff, you and I are not too young to remember JFK and the elite, the best and the brightest who came from these Ivy League schools. They had this notion of a little bit of noblesse oblige, but that, it's our duty to help the country. And during World War II and even into the 60s, that's why there's so many presidents and Supreme Court justices from the Ivies, especially Harvard and Yale, because there was this kind of, and it was somewhat liberal at the time, notion of giving back.
And Harvard still has, they have other things that are the Neiman Lab and Berkman Klein Center now, are amazing and are great. But something is going on at Shorenstein Kennedy Center that has been wacky for some years now. And they've changed some leadership there, and it's still, the Shorenstein Center changed leadership.
The Post goes on to say Jim Jordan, who leads a House subcommittee on the, quote, weaponization of the federal government that was formed after the midterms, has demanded documents and testimony from other researchers accused of bias, in this case, bias against conservative voices. Such Donovan peers as Kate Starbird at the University of Washington have cut back.
Brilliant. It was amazing.
Same thing, though. Yeah, cut back on interviews amid that pressure and waves. And this is another issue of online threats and harassment. So, yeah, you already gave us the punchline, which is Joan has gotten a great job at BU, Boston University, which is an excellent school. She's going to be working in the
comm school, the communication school,
the communication school
track position.
Yes,
so Joan's been an independent researcher going back before Data and Society. So now she's on the tenure track where she should be. She is Dr. Joan Donovan, and she should be a tenured professor.
They say that she's on the tenure track, but they say this a lot of things going to happen. The Post says that BU, in fact, she says that BU has put up with a lot of BS, so to speak, and has stood up to a lot of this. Donovan noted that Boston University has gotten used to coming under fire. One lightning rod for the foes of racism studies is Ibram Kendi, the author of How to Be an Anti-Racist. Ibram runs BU's Center for Anti-Racist Research. Donovan says, BU is a great place to do this kind of work. BU is not as tied up with tech company money. Oh, that's interesting.
That's, yeah. Did Joan say that in quote?
Yeah, that's a quote.
Very good.
So she's kind of
she's freed up a little bit,
giving
now.
us a hint. We have tried since her firing to get her on the show, and she's she wanted to keep a very low profile.
Yeah. No, she needed to.
And I completely understand, but I do hope we can get her on.
But now that the gag is off, let's get her on.
So what's the tech? I always thought of Silicon Valley as being liberal.
Oh no, they're like these weirdo libertarians. What is it? Effective altruism. They're those people.
Tescriel. Well, not all.
Not all, but they're liberal in the maybe social categories to some extent. Although there's some
I always thought it was more
but
conservative when it came to the dollar and cent side.
As they get
Yeah.
richer and richer, they become more and
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
conservative. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I've had to have this discussion with the family, when we talk about politics. And I know this isn't a political show, but I had to tell them, look, most of the folks on that conservative side, you notice they tend to have a lot more money than you and I do. There's a reason for that.
They're also not the same color as you.
Oh, yeah, then there's that.
Yeah.
Well, and the Republican Party did a really good job up until 8 years ago, I guess, really making it possible for you to be fiscally conservative and socially progressive. So you didn't feel bad about how your policies were hurting other people. And now the Republican Party is just abandoned the dog whistles and are going straight out on that. So it's much harder, but there's definitely a role for people who are like, it's kind of like the prosperity gospel of politics.
Yes, isn't it? Yeah, you nailed it.
I mean, the other piece of this is that misinformation research tends to be critical of platforms.
So you think the platforms like Facebook and Twitter are also partly guilty?
I don't think that Google would do that. Facebook has pulled back funding in all kinds of areas. And, full disclosure is my school got a lot of money from Facebook to give away. In fact, it was Facebook money that I granted to Data and Society for Joan Donovan's work. $500,000 back in the day.
But I'm going to guess Mark didn't have any input into what those.
No. And they wanted to give away the money then. That's what they couldn't figure out how to. That's why they came to us to do it for them. And so we almost all the money went right back out. It was re-granted, but that was the point, was to find, after 2016, ways to do this. And Joan was the first person I thought of, along with Dana Boyd, when she was still at Data Society.
Anyway, really happy
news.
for
it's
Joan.
Really good news. Joan says in the press release, I was looking for a place that would offer me the most academic freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a little dig at Harvard. Yeah. Her deal with Harvard ends at the end of the month, and that's why none of this came out until now, right? She's going to go immediately from the end of the deal at Harvard to BU the next day. Good for her. I'm very glad to hear that.
I had a DM with her, and I'm very happy for her.
Yeah, we were. I figured that she didn't want to talk about it. I figured you knew more, but I wasn't going to press you. So now it can be told. That's good news. Speaking of Twitter, did we speak of Twitter? Feels like we did. Maybe we did.
You mentioned it in passing.
We mentioned platforms.
We mentioned it in the NFL segment.
We can make this segue work.
Sports segment.
Actually, I miss Twitter.
Oh, that's right.
Not for the NFL, but for the Oscars. Used to love watching. Yeah. Oh, and even better, the foreign press.
The Golden Globes.
Golden Globes.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody was drunk. And there was so much fun just sitting there going, wow, is Ricky Gervais a drunk or just crazy? And it was really fun doing that on Twitter. All of that's gone by the wayside. Twitter now, X, the company formerly known as Twitter. Mm-hmm. And this week, one more strike against Twitter. Elon was throttling traffic to websites he doesn't like. If you use the t.co URL shortener to point to...
No, you don't even have to use it, Leo.
It would just do it.
Every redirect.
Yeah.
Every redirect goes through t.co taco so that they can see where you go, so they gather that data.
So if you did a link to the New York Times, to Facebook, to Instagram, to Blue Sky, to Substack, to Reuters, you'd click the link and 5, 4... 3. There was a 5-second delay, which, by the way, I know how people use the internet. That's enough for people to go, forget it.
Yep, we're out.
That's too much of a divot. Yeah.
Tuesday afternoon, after this was discovered, X began reversing this. But, wow, that is just blatant.
How was it discovered? Who?
I think people just said, hey, what's going on?
I think one of the news organizations kind of, maybe
I think the Post.
I don't know.
This is enough to
the Post's analysis found that links to most other news sites were unaffected, including the Post itself, Fox News, social media services like Mastodon and YouTube, with the shortened links routed to their final destination in a second or less. A user first flagged the delays early Tuesday on Hacker News. And then the Post went in and said, whoa, what's going on? Here it is. This is Tell Hacker News from Tuesday. Tell HN Taco is adding a 5-second delay to some domains. Threads, New York Times. I can believe Threads and Instagram. You saw what Elon did over the weekend.
I didn't. I quit paying this dude any attention.
He tweeted, "I'm coming over to Mark's He said, "I'm on my way."
Oh, I do remember seeing
his
a headline
house.
about Zuckerberg basically saying, we're done with
text.
this whole fighting stuff or whatever.
It's
we need
ridiculous.
to move on. Zuckerberg acting like they're grown up in this scenario. I was like, yeah, I got a business to run.
Yeah, he says, I wasn't home anyway.
A break?
For the Tesla FSD test drive in Palo Alto tonight, I will ask the car to drive to Finkty, which is Zuckerberg's Twitter handle, to Zuckerberg's house. I will also test the latest X live stream video so you can monitor our adventure in real time. If we get lucky and Zuck actually answers the door, the fight is on. Then he tweets, thought you might want some tea, so I brought the bags. Is he talking punching bags?
No. Tea bag. You know what tea bag is?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Gossip.
No.
Don't Google it, people.
No.
Don't want to Google it.
Teabagging is something a 14-year-old kid does when he wins in a video
or talks
game.
about.
Yeah, it doesn't do. God heaven, no. Knock, knock, he tweets, challenge accepted, open the door. To which Zuckerberg said, I wasn't even in town. But that's just stalking behavior. What if I said that?
Yeah.
I'd be arrested.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. In previous years, he would have been banned for Twitter for that.
Right.
Do you think he's having some sort of
Yes, he's in trouble. There's something wrong going on. Yes. Or he's always been like this, and he's so rich that it's been hidden from us. Then he bought Twitter, and nobody could stop him. Right?
Well, it is his business.
But you know what, Stacy? God bless you. Because
what did I do?
you're looking on the
Stacey.
No, you're looking on the you're being generous.
Humane.
You're being humane.
No, I'm just. It is unfathomable to me that someone would act like this consistently for the last and he's under a lot of pressure.
Really?
It's Kanye-like.
You think he's under pressure?
It is Kanye-like.
Yeah, and Kanye had a break. That's for sure.
You think he's under pressure? I don't think he's under pressure because I don't think he cares. You know what I'm saying?
I think his ego's under pressure.
Yeah.
I think he's an ego-driven person who is who doesn't have much to fall back on, and then all of that is being threatened.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
well, see, that's the thing.
He's clearly also not a nice person.
No.
And I guess I'm thinking about this too much like a poor dude.
He's not like you and me.
Yeah, when you say all of that is being threatened, as in what, they're going to take away his billions of dollars, and who is that they, and how are they going to do it? Because as far as I know, he's still going to continue to live his best life and go out and just do dumb stuff because he feels like he can. So I can't say that he feels
public
pressure.
acclaim.
Oh yeah, attention. Yeah.
He's a person who that's their oxygen. That's how they.
Yeah.
And Kanye is
He's
too.
a troll.
Yeah.
Well, there are plenty of people who've gotten to the point in their lives where they don't have to ever worry about money again.
Right.
It's not going to have to ever worry about it again.
Right.
But and then, by the way, this is a horrible revelation to them. What they realize is your life is the same. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about money, so that's part of it's not there. But you're still unhappy. Mm-hmm. People still treat you. All the things that made you unhappy don't go away suddenly because you don't have to worry about money.
This is true.
And so I think it's almost worse. Mm-hmm. Same thing with fame. That's why fame is hard, because you get to the top of the mountain and you go. No. Dana Carvey said, "Getting rich just means you have a bigger bedroom to watch TV in." It's not.
I take that.
Yeah, you're very lonely.
It's not changing your life, and people think if I only could be rich and famous, I'd be happy. Mm-hmm. And then they get there and they're not happy, and they go, "What the hell? Somebody promised me this, and I'm not getting it."
Mr. Laporte, I still want to try though.
Oh, it's worth it. No, you know what you don't ever want, and I've seen a little bit of it, and is being so famous that you can't walk down the street, you can't eat in a restaurant, you can't.
Yeah.
I think that can ruin your life.
That's why people live in the hills. That's why people in Hollywood actually live up in the hills and not down in the city.
I remember.
Oh, I was thinking like hill people, and I was like, let's talk about the hill people.
That's hillbillyology. Anyway, I don't know what's going on with Elon. Apparently, some say that the Elon flight tracker said he wasn't even in the Bay Area when he tweeted that.
Wow.
Oh, well, then he's just trolling.
That's trolling.
Yeah, well, that's not anything new for him, is it? I think more and more you got to kind of realize that he's just trying to get the kind of attention that we are happily giving him.
I think I blocked him on X.com, and I know I have filters in place because I don't like feeding into this ego that he clearly has. And
he's coming after you next.
I would say don't go to X.com.
Well,
that would be the better way to handle
and then there's the hypocritical side of it is I go there because that's where traffic is. It's going to help me out with paying my bills.
Yeah, I understand.
And I think about journalists out there that hate the platform, but that's where their audience is.
But I say this with love and respect as somebody who has 500,000 followers on Twitter, but I've abandoned them.
Yeah, you did.
Because I just don't want to support that. I just don't want to be part of that. Now, I have to say, I tweeted last week because we're still trying to figure out if we should have an event in Green Bay when we're out there.
You should.
I don't think anybody responded.
You should.
I think Elon's blocking me on Twitter.
I blocked him.
No, I mean, I think he's reduced my...
he's pushed you down.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's shadow. Is that shadow banning?
I'm shadow banned.
You.
I'm shadow banned. Sigh. It would be only reasonable to do so since I've told everybody I don't tweet here anymore. So, yeah, nobody responded to it. None. Zero. Zip. Oh, wait a minute.
Maybe you should ask on
that's
Discord.
That's a few there.
I have asked on Mastodon. I've asked on twit.community. I've had a little poll. We had 2 votes.
Wait a minute. And then also, Mr. Laporte, you realize most of our fans don't care about sports like I do.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I thought some of them might live near Green Bay
they're
anyway.
nerds.
You know.
It is
Like me.
near Chicago and stuff, but yeah, no. I'm not talking about the Packers. I'm just saying we wanted to go to a bar on the 29th.
Go to Milwaukee.
In Green Bay.
Go to Milwaukee.
Jeez.
Go to Milwaukee?
Yeah,
I went to
it's
a
not
bar
far
in
from
Milwaukee.
there. Yes.
Yeah?
Milwaukee's awesome.
Where Laverne and Shirley was? Is that Milwaukee? Or
Yeah,
something?
Yeah.
you went to
Schlemazel. Haas and Pfeffer Park Corporated.
I know that brewery. Dang it.
Yeah.
Duff.
It was
No.
nice.
Lakefront, Lake something. Is
Lake
that-
something, yeah.
Yeah.
How did I
I've been
tweet
there.
from there?
I think I recommended it to you now that I think about it.
Oh, yeah, maybe you did. Yeah, it was good. They had cheese curds.
Yes, the squeakers.
It was
fried
nice.
cheese curds.
Tell the folks
but I
why they call them
digress.
squeakers.
Well, because literally when you bite into them, they squeak in your mouth.
So horrible. I do not
It's
want
not
food
horrible, it's
that
just
squeaks in my mouth.
But that's
It's
the
the
fried
sound of the
ones.
cheese against your teeth.
The fried
It's
ones
not
don't squeak
alive.
like that. The fried ones don't squeak. The fried ones just melt in your mouth.
Yeah, but
and
if
they're
it's squeaking on your
delicious.
teeth, it's because it's the texture of it is like...
You're right. But it's still cheese, and it's delicious, and it's right up there with mayonnaise, if not mayonnaise.
All right. Broadcast cable is in a world of hurt, but then so is streaming. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. The linear, for the first time since they've been keeping track of this, linear TV viewing, that's broadcast and cable, fell below 50% of all TV use. Overall TV went up because there's a lot more streaming, but linear TV broadcast networks 20% of viewing in July, cable 29.6% viewing, both down from the previous month, a low point since Nielsen began tracking this. Now they've only been tracking it for a few years, but I have to think, when they started in June 2021, it was at a peak because of COVID.
Right.
It's been just going straight down.
Can I say I don't like this?
49.6%.
I don't like this stat, especially since you threw out that it was first tracked around the COVID times. People are way more liberal with their free time now, and
They're going out, they're traveling, they're doing stuff. So maybe it's meaningless, huh?
Right. I mean, even if you
Although,
don't have a ton of money, you still
What if I
get
throw
the heck
this
out of
in?
the house.
Streaming grew from 26% a share of viewing in June 2021 to 38.7% in July. That's a 48% jump. So it's not like we're not looking at the screen.
That screen is in the back seat of the car, and some teenagers,
on
kids'
mobile.
hand.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Oh, that might
Now
be.
I haven't watched linear TV since, like 2010 or 2009.
YouTube.
Because I haven't been able to access it.
Right. You're a cord cutter. YouTube led the way, 9.2% of all TV use. That is kind of
Wow.
mind-boggling.
Wow.
Netflix, 8.5%. Tubi, Fox's advertising-supported video on demand, 1.4%. That was his best month of all, timed with HBO Max. Now just Max. So what's happening? It's very interesting. Try this with a study the Financial Times did that said for the first time this year, it costs more to be a cord cutter than not. Your cable bill, which is about $83 on average, streaming went from $73 last year if you got a package of kind of the most popular streaming things like Max and Netflix and whatever. I don't know what the list was, but this is sort of an average. to $86.
$87.
So for many people, because the cost of the internet plus the cost of the streaming is actually more expensive than your cable bill, and yet more people are watching streaming than they are watching cable now. And
as prices go up, that's going to shift again because they can't make money on the streaming.
Exactly.
This is YouTube Uber alles, man. TikTok Uber alles. It's going to be a free-for-all out there, and the big old studios don't know what to do. Meanwhile, the strikes are on. Meanwhile, if that goes on much longer.
It's a perfect storm. This is a perfect storm. Disney Plus, the cost of Disney Plus has gone up 48% in the last year. Almost 50% in the last year. And that's because they've been pouring billions of dollars into content, and they're trying to make it up. Some say, and might be true, conspiracy theory, they're also trying to drive you to the ad-supported tiers. So ad-supported Netflix or Tubi or Pluto TV. Or
Amazon's got one too, right?
Yeah, Freevee. Freevee, it's called. Maybe they make more money in the advertising than they would. I find this hard to believe than they would if you paid a subscription.
Well, they want to hedge their bets.
Right.
They want more than one revenue stream.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel sad because I cut the cord in 2008 and it was a golden, I told my kid who's 17, I was like, you have grown up in a golden era of not
You're doing
seeing
that already?
ads.
It was so great when I was young.
Well, no, I still remember when they
sausages,
were
Mom.
they were 10 and they were like, I feel so sorry for my cousins because they have to watch TV shows when they're on because they were still watching linear TV and we just didn't have it.
Yeah, it's true.
And now they're like, we watched something the other night that had ads and they're like, oh, I hate this. Yeah. Let's go to Netflix. Oh, yeah. So we just dumped what we were going to watch. They were just not into it.
But I have to say they've screwed themselves because you're right. People don't want to see ads, so that's not really an option. But people don't want to pay 48% more for Disney Plus. I feel like it's a perfect storm. That we're headed to collapse, and I worry that the writers and the actors are going to.
The subsidy for free. I mean, there's a couple ways this goes, right? And regulation comes into this too. So if ad targeting is outlawed and so on and so on and so forth, so that everything goes behind a paywall. Well, number one, there ain't enough money to pay for everything that's behind a paywall now. So some stuff's going to just die. Advertising was a support for free and cheap media that, including news. It was wonderful. But it's going to go away. And I think that the total old legacy mass media is what's dying. And they're going to stay alive for as long as they can. I don't mean they're going to fall over tomorrow. But it's what's happened to the music business. They've got to learn the lessons about that. What happened to newspapers, they've got to learn the lessons about that. Magazines, same thing. Now what's happening to TV.
We've learned.
By the way, movies are crappy too. There aren't that many good movies out.
Yeah, look at. I keep going to the Apple TV movies thing because I don't want to go to a theater, and I look at the movies, and they're awful. And this is summer. Yeah. This is when
but their TV shows are pretty good, though.
Yeah, you're right. They're better TV shows. I did go see Oppenheimer.
Yeah, maybe
by
people
the way.
don't watch.
Do you want me to give you my review of Oppenheimer in 70 millimeter IMAX? It's big. It's really big.
Thank you,
especially when you're that close.
The first scene, we're in the fifth row. The first scene is a very tight close-up on Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer. Just his face. Just his face on a 5-story movie screen, and I'm about 20 feet away from it. It's like, I hope the whole movie isn't like this.
The worst.
A lot of close-ups. It's good, but the IMAX kind of overwhelms the movie, so I have to see it in a regular screen just to see if I like it. It's like the experience. It's like a roller coaster ride. The experience is more. I thought it was pretty good. It was way too long.
Yeah,
they can cut an hour. They could easily cut an hour out of this without hurting anything.
Yeah,
because this might be what. Oh
no,
go on.
No.
You were giving your review. I'm so sorry.
No, you.
Go ahead, Miss Stacy.
No, but I want to hear from you much more than I want to hear from me.
Well, I was just saying that a lot of movies do seem too long, and this might be kind of one reason that kids are or people are not watching movies even when they're on streaming. It's
That's
just
exactly why I don't.
much of an investment.
That's exactly why I don't. Give me 90 minutes.
Yeah, Lisa's the same way. In fact, I didn't mind going. I said, "You sure you don't mind me going to see Oppenheimer without you?" She said, "No, it's too long. I'm not going to. I'll see it when we get it at home because we can pause it, watch the second half the next night." Well, it's kind of both, right, Stacy? Because kids are also watching a lot more short form content, so their attention span's shrinking while movies are getting longer.
I don't know if
they'll
their
do
attention
it for
spans-
like 3 hours. They'll
Yeah, I
watch
don't think it's
TikTok
shrinking.
for like 2.5 hours, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Like their tolerance of the hegemony of the storyteller is lowered.
There was a little too much hegemony. That's my review. That's the thumbnail review. Christopher Nolan has too much hegemony. He has too much power. Nobody's going to say no to him. So it's based on the book American Prometheus, which I've started to read now, as everybody does after they watch the movie. And this kind of the spine of the book is the last act of Oppenheimer's life when they revoked his clearance to the Atomic Energy Commission, and they had a very long hearing, and he had to go through his whole life story. And it makes sense for a book to have that be the spine, like flashback. But it made the movie extra long because they keep going from it's not a courtroom, from the hearing to the events, to the hearing and the events and the back and forth. And I think that was a mistake to be too faithful to the book. It's longer than it needs to be, but it's a good story. It's a very important story. The really important part of it is, I was talking to somebody who said, it's really about AI. And I said, what? And it's the issue of the scientists were more interested in whether they could do it than what the consequences of doing it would be,
Right.
And really the story of the atomic bomb is they were worried Hitler was going to get one. Oppenheimer was Jewish, as were most of the scientists working at Los Alamos, just trying to build the A-bomb. And they were very worried, reasonably so, that Hitler would get it first and it would be the end of the world. And so there was a race to beat Hitler to get it first. But then it's VE Day. The war is over. Hitler's defeated. And still the government wants to go ahead and develop the A-bomb and then eventually drops it on the Japanese. There's lots of questions of whether they needed to do it twice. Oppenheimer feels a lot of guilt and regret, but he knew even as they were doing it, once we release this, there's no taking it back. Once we develop this, you can't say, oh yeah, don't use it. And he was very disturbed because then there was a push to develop the hydrogen bomb, which is 100 times more powerful. And he said, no, we don't do that because it'll create an arms race. And Edward Teller said, no, we need it. The government said, no, we need it. And we developed the H-bomb, of course, as you know. And Oppenheimer was very upset about that. And that's kind of my friend likened that to the AI conundrum, is you do it because it's an interesting engineering problem, but consider what you're releasing. There's no taking it back.
There's unintended consequences in damn near everything today, though.
Certainly technology, but some of it's more consequential.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's all about the hegemony of the storyteller, personally. Anyway, it's a good movie. You should see it, and it raises very interesting.
But you're not. It sounds like you're not an IMAX aficionado.
Maybe if I sat farther back.
So would I feel sad if I watched it later?
No.
On like Netflix?
That's how you
it sounds
should
like
watch
you're
it.
saying,
In fact, what I'm saying is don't regret that you didn't see it in IMAX.
Great.
It's probably better
well,
just
there's
to watch
IMAX, and then there's regular movie theater, and then there's
It'll
on the
be
couch.
fine. The content is fine is what really matters. It's not, when the bomb blows up, it's over, it's big. But it's not the most important part of the movie, even Trinity, the actual.
Right.
I don't think you were on the pre-show, Stacy, when Leo realized that he thought he'd ordered his seats 5 from the back.
Yeah.
No, I remember that. Yes.
Like, really?
Front.
Dude, that's not right.
It wasn't awful, but
It wasn't great.
You know what? The real thing is IMAX is about spectacle. The first movies in IMAX were all nature films and short films and watch as we walk through space and stuff. And
You walking through space?
it was Christopher Nolan and a few filmmakers said, "Oh no, this would be great for movies." Yeah. I think they were mistaken because it's really more. It suddenly becomes not about the movie but the technology. I saw The Dark Knight at the same theater, which was also partially IMAX and partially not.
Yeah, I hate how
That
they
was terrible.
switched it.
I think it's a theater big enough for their ego.
I
They're
agree.
like, my movie is so amazing. You need to watch it on film and the biggest. Yes, that's all this is.
Actually, that's exactly what Nolan said, is if you want to see this the way it should be seen, you need to see it on 70 millimeter
70
film
mil.
on IMAX. And I believed him, and I don't agree. And that is a little bit of ego, isn't it? Yeah. It's like an amusement park ride. It becomes more about the screen and the size than it is about the content. And I want to go see a movie for the
I heard
story.
complaints.
It's pretty
Was it
loud.
also overwhelmingly
Wait,
loud?
amusement park rides have stories?
Yeah, some. You haven't been to the latest Disney rides I could take, you tell? They totally have stories now. Did you know that?
Oh, those are the boring ones.
There
I'm
we
thinking
go.
roller
Thank
coasters.
you
I'm
for
sorry.
saying it out
I'm
loud.
like, what are you talking
Well,
about?
even a roller
It's
coaster
small
does
world.
to an extent. This is where we're going to
Yeah, but
give
who
you a heart
cares
attack.
about the story? I mean, like, what was it? The California Adventures coaster?
Yeah.
They swapped it out to the Incredicoaster. Coaster. Nobody
Incredicoaster.
cares.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
know.
roller coaster that you're
Yeah.
on.
But that's what I'm saying is that you go to a theater like that, it's a ride. It's not about a movie. It's about a ride.
Got it.
It's an
Okay.
experience it'd be better to see a nature film there, in other words, than something where you're supposed to think and so forth. Anyway, good movie. Yeah, worth seeing. Very long. Watch it at home. You'll be much happier.
Are you going to go see Barbie?
Lisa won't go with me, and I don't feel I should go
No.
alone. I just feel like going,
Why not?
dressing
It's
all
kind
in
of a
pink and going
mayonnaise
by
movie, I
myself.
guess, yeah.
I shouldn't. People are going to say, who's that
That's
creepy,
creepy.
old man all by himself? What's he
Yeah,
doing?
you probably shouldn't do that, sir.
Dressed in pink and everything.
I really want to see it.
Why won't Lisa go? It's a fun movie. And it's short. It's not that long.
I think she's philosophically opposed to Barbie.
I get that.
I'm philosophically opposed to Barbie, but I enjoyed the movie.
Did you like
It
the
was
movie?
fun.
Oh, I'm dying to see
It was like candy-coated feminism.
Yeah, I'm dying to see
In
it. I
service
really
of
want to
capitalism.
see it. Yeah.
But it was a heap of fun. And if you like old musicals and stuff, that was a lot of the Greta Gerwig's inspiration.
Aunt, it's made for you.
Aunt, you want to go with me?
Sorry.
You and I.
Sorry.
Dress in pink.
It's football
Two of us
season.
can go.
Yes.
It's football season.
It's
sorry.
like, nope.
It's football season. Sorry.
All right, I want to take a break. When we come back, Steve Gibson did something shocking yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Besides saying he's going to continue doing the show after episode 999, that shocked me.
Oh, okay.
Good
But
Lord.
he also gave a seal of approval to the new Google Topics. This is their most recent attempt to
my.
have ad tracking without tracking. So we're going to talk about topics when we come back and why Steve thinks this is a good answer, a good solution to the problem. But we got a great panel. Stacy Higginbotham. Big announcement from Stacy coming up later in the show. Aunt Pruitt. And the hegemony of college professors, Jeff Jarvis. Our show today brought to you by ACI Learning. Love ACI Learning, but I know a lot of you go, who's that? They sponsor the studio. You know IT Pro. They've been with us for a decade. ACI Learning and IT Pro merged, and now, man, this is everything you need to get those important IT skills, whether it's for your first job in IT, continuing education, or to get that team trained up and skilled up so they could do the job they need to do. In today's IT talent shortage, whether you operate as your own department or you're part of a larger team, you got to keep those skills up to date. And let me tell you, there is a dearth of talent. 94% of CIOs and CISOs agree attracting and retaining talent is job one. That's because they've got so many openings and there's so few people with the skills. Well, here's how you get those skills. 7,200 hours of bingeable, engaging, informative content at ACI Learning. And it's always fresh. They're adding new content every single day. If you're giving it to a team, maybe you're an MSP who's got a team of professionals you need to keep skilled, or a company that has an IT department that needs to know about cybersecurity, they will thank you because this training is not only informative, it's not only great training, it's fun, it's engaging, it's entertaining. That's probably why ACI's completion rate is 50% higher than their competitors. That's pretty amazing. Brand new, they've got a bunch of new features, but I want to tell you about this new one. ACI Learning has introduced Cyber Skills, which is a really great tool to future-proof your entire organization. This is the first thing ACI Learning has done that's not just for the IT department. It's a cybersecurity training tool for everybody in your company. Cybersecurity awareness training for non-IT professionals, but with the same great standard of quality, entertainment, and information that ACI Learning is famous for. With Cyber Skills, you get flexible on-demand training, and it covers everything your team needs to know, from password security, how to avoid phishing scams, how to detect them, malware prevention, network safety. Your employees will love it. They'll stay motivated and engaged throughout the process. The material is not only easy to follow, it's fun. With a simple 1-hour course overview, your employees gain attack-specific training. You'll have knowledge check assessments based on common cyber threats that they're going to encounter on a daily basis. You'll know how well they do. They'll get access to bonus courses, documentary-style episodes. It's a great way for your employees to learn about cyber attacks and breaches, have fun doing it, but come away with the knowledge they need to keep your organization secure. ACI Learning helps you invest in your team and entrusts them to thrive while increasing the entire security of your business. Boost your enterprise cybersecurity confidence today with ACI Learning. Check out the Cyber Skills training. Be bold. Train smart with ACI Learning. Go to the website. go.acilearning.com/twit. Go.acilearning.com/twit. Twit listeners, big discounts for you as much as 20% off, as little as 20% off, as much as 65% off on an IT Pro Enterprise Solution Plan. The discount will depend on the size of your team. So go to the website, go.acilearning.com/twit, fill out that form, and they will send you a quote that's tailored to your needs and to your team. The best training out there for you, your team, all of your employees. Go.acilearning.com/twit. We thank them so much for supporting This Week in Google. If you want to understand this new thing, listen to Security Now. Steve does it in great detail, much better than I can. This is something new that is in Chromium. Mm-hmm. It will be in the nightly Chrome Canary builds. It will be in Chromium, which means it'll be in a lot, unless they strip it out, in all the browsers like Edge from Microsoft,
it's available for
Opera, Brave, all the other Chromium-based browsers will presumably get it. You remember we had Flock? Mm-hmm. Didn't like it.
Trying to get rid of cookies.
Yeah, Google has already said we're going to delete. We're no longer going to support persistent third-party cookies starting next year. We're going to get rid of it because people don't want it. They turn it off. But Google also understands, because their business, 79% of their revenue comes from ad sales. They understand that advertisers want information about who the ad is being displayed to. But they also understand that we as users don't want to be tracked, and we'll go to great lengths, including ad blockers, to prevent that. So I think it's reasonable for Google to try to figure out, well, is there some way I can balance the interests of both sides? And Steve says Topics is actually going to do it. So now
you got to explain it.
Yeah. Now I got to explain
how.
It. Yeah. It's there's a good blog post. Well, actually, there's a good Ars Technica article, which I'd recommend. But also you can read about it on the Chromium blog. They call it Privacy Sandbox Ad Relevance and Measurement Proposal.
Formerly known as, what was it called?
Well, there was Fledge, Flock. And then there was Flock. It all has to do with birds. This time it's just Topics. So the idea is, when you go in a browser and you visit a site, that site is assigned certain topics. Like if you came to Twit, it would be technology, maybe smartphones, consumer electronics, enterprise technology, that kind of thing. Right now, Google has 349 topics. That number might expand to a larger number. That information is then attached to your browser. So when you go to another, so it aggregates over time. I think it resets every few weeks, but it aggregates over the period of 3 weeks. So when I go in this browser that I've visited a variety of sites, it will say the person, not my name, the person using this browser has an interest in race cars, smartphones, consumer electronics. And then
I don't even know if it says that. Does it say that, Leo, or does it say code number 67 can match with code number 67, and we're not going to tell you kind of where it went? Isn't that kind of...
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it says it out loud.
Obfuscation.
The big difference between Topics and Flock, the predecessor, was that Flock would broadcast that information to all and sundry. This one's a little bit more constrained, but it supports interest-based advertising. So let me read from Vivaldi, the browser, which will use it. How does Topics differ from Flock? Google limits the amount of information a site can gather to a few topics initially from a set that might be as big as, well, now it's 349, as big as a few thousands, and only allows a single additional topic to be attained every week.
Oh, wow.
Which is a severe limit, right? They also limit the topics advertisers can see. This is very important. Flock did not have this limit. To topics offered by sites on which those advertisers are present. So I'm on Ars Technica. I can only see the topics that Ars Technica offers, giving topics approximately the same reach as third-party cookies without the privacy problem. Some random topics might be offered as well, and Google claims this lessens the chance that sharing a given topic will automatically be compromising or identifying. It's fuzzed with random stuff. Google also claims this will reduce the ability of advertisers to gather enough data themselves for building a profile. Okay, I'm sure advertisers will try. But
that's their job.
It's not even advertisers anymore. It's just
the data brokers.
Programmatic networks.
Yeah.
Is this close to like Apple? It sounds almost similar to differential privacy, some of the stuff that Apple's been promoting.
Yeah, I mean, Apple's trying to do the same thing, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like,
users are able to disable the whole system, so you'll have a opt-out. And you can exclude certain topics in a way that can't be easily detected by the advertisers. So you say, I don't want to see anything about smartphones. But it won't be, no one else, the advertiser won't see that. They just won't get offered smartphones. Right. We expect that most users won't change the defaults, but at least it's there, right? This is from Vivaldi. In addition, the wording in the specification is loose and ambiguous in a way that leaves it open to manipulation by Google to expose more or less information. This is especially possible for websites that cover a large range of topics, including Google and Facebook. They'll be able to observe the widest range of behaviorally profiled information. But Steve's feeling is, and actually, he might be alone in this. Vivaldi says, we have no faith in the new Topics API.
Strong statement.
And I think EFF has also weighed in that they're not crazy about it. But Steve says,
not surprising.
And I think he's right. Steve says, we got to find some system that makes ad-supported content work, right?
Amen, brother.
It's not for, by the way, it's not for podcasting because it's very simple. You buy ads on Twit because you know our audience is tech enthusiasts. So anything tech enthusiasts you'd be interested in. So we kind of are already broadcasting that signal. But it's more for other sites like Google or The Verge or Facebook or whatever. Steve says this is a good compromise. He really looked closely at it. Feels like it protects privacy adequately for the individual, but gives advertisers some hook that they seem to really need. I mean, there's always that debate of whether targeted advertising works, but since advertisers think it does and want it and demand it and won't buy ads unless they get it, then this seems to be a good compromise. That's Steve's opinion. Vivaldi says, we believe that spying on people's behavior and profiling them is wrong, period. It's easy to get misled by this new variation of Flock since it does appear to have made some positive changes, but it still violates your privacy, and pretending that behavioral profiling can be okay as long as you hide a few bits of information or sometimes add false information is really missing the point. You shouldn't be profiling in the first place. And this is the problem I have.
So let's try to look at, and I know Stacy will have something to say about this, I'm sure, but let's try to look at the actual harm here. So give me a scenario in which this system as described presents actual harm.
I don't think it does.
I don't think it does either.
Vivaldi says,
Stacy's thinking.
revealing information about the user's interest to various entities, even slowly, will allow them over time to identify political affiliation, sexual orientation, and other personal information about the user. I'm not sure that's clear. You'd have to say, well, everybody who's interested in smartphones and Shetland ponies
There's a lot easier ways to do about it.
Yeah. They say
limiting
Go ahead.
sensitive categories?
Yes.
Like health data?
Yes.
So I don't actually see this as being hugely problematic.
Vivaldi says, as has been shown by the Cambridge Analytica scandal, this
hold
kind
on.
of
Just Cambridge Analytica was full of crap. They really didn't do anything. They used the quiz. You told them more in the quiz. This is not the quiz. This is entirely different.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of, and not to cast dispersions, because I think a lot of people in our audience are this way, but there are a lot of people who just really don't want
They're
any.
suspicious for a reason.
Yeah, they don't want any targeting at all. They don't, frankly, want any advertising at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I
fine. Then
that.
the world is either fully disinformation or fully behind paywalls. And don't tell me that you use ad blockers and you won't pay subscriptions and you complain on Mastodon when I put up a link behind a paywall. I'm not going to buy it from you, folks.
Mm. Well, and that's the problem our content.
Got to eat somehow.
I mean, I guess we could say only Club Twit. I mean, and this may happen if advertising continues to drift away. And advertising does drift away from us because we don't have enough information about you. So they go to Facebook and Google where there's a lot more information about you.
Right.
So we are losing advertising, and advertisers do demand and want more, and we can only give them so much. And if all that advertising goes away, then it will be paywall or nothing. And yeah, then people will try to get around the paywalls. So I don't like paywalls. I get around paywalls. I know how to do it. I'm sure our audience is sophisticated enough to do that. So it's not if you want, I mean, somebody's got to pay John Slanina. Somebody's got to pay Benito. Somebody's got to pay Ant. Somebody's got to pay Jeff.
When are you going to say my name?
Somebody's got to pay Ant. Somebody's got to pay Jeff. Somebody's got to pay Stacy.
Jason.
The funny thing is, as an owner of the company, I'm the last, as is always the case, I'm the last person to get paid. Now, if the company has a surplus, I'm in the money.
Right.
But if the company is not at a surplus, I get no pay. I haven't been paid in 3 months.
Right.
And that's okay, I guess. But I'm kind of takes some of the fun out of it. Let's put it that way. So at some point, you got to pay for this stuff. Mm-hmm. PG&E, the light bill has got to be paid, or they're going to turn off the lights.
Right.
My bandwidth bills have to be paid, or you won't be able to download a podcast. I could sit here and do it, but you wouldn't be able to get it.
Right.
So everybody needs to get paid. And the problem is if people who consume the content say, well, under no circumstances can there be any system that supports that, I think you got a problem. So I think Google is... I think they're trying. Admittedly, they have a kind of a dog in this hunt. They both buy and sell advertising.
Mm-hmm. A few times
it's
this
easier
conversation.
to pay someone. Oh
no, you go ahead, Miss Stacy.
Go on. Well, I also there's a couple like nuances that are hard to really think about and parse, especially in technology. One is the technology firms really value scale. So you're paying a faceless someone something, right? So you feel like you're being sold to, you don't know what it's for. It feels creepy. It feels impersonal. Right. People do tend to pay people they know, and like there's a lot of people who join Club Twit, and it sounds like it may not be enough yet, but so I think there's a function of scale, and then there's also the function of income inequality. I think is really hurting some of these people because you feel like you're being nickel and dime to death for little to no value, maybe, and you don't understand what you're supporting necessarily, and that's hard. I don't know. I mean, the answers here are
that's
hard.
one of the objections. There's also the objection, quite reasonable, that data brokers collect this information and essentially put together dossiers on everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ACI has been doing it for years before the internet.
Yeah, and then sell that on. I mean, that's reprehensible. That should be stopped.
With your name.
With your name and all of your...
Yeah.
And I will say, are we going to talk about the Consumer Financial Bureau?
Yes.
Okay.
Next.
But I want to stay on Stacy's point about scale for one more minute if I can. Because that's interesting. Because I keep on yammering on about death of mass media and rescaling things, and I think scale is what's over. I think that's part of the TV story. I think that's what's true of music. I think we reduce scale, and the internet the internet had to scale to become a huge network to enable it to be small, right? And so that's interesting, Stacy, in terms of the future of advertising, is that if the presumption stays scale, everybody have to have huge numbers. Paradoxically, I almost wonder whether that's worse for privacy than, yes, I'm looking for a car. It's permissioned. I give you permission to do it. It's more effective. I can look at car ads for a few months, then I can turn it off. Where do we go with advertising? Right now, it's scale over everything. You have to have a huge audience so that you can happen to have that one person who might tick that one box to get that one ad to get you your pennies. It's not a good business model in the long run. And so how would we reimagine, if we need advertising to help support and subsidize creativity, how could we reimagine an advertising industry?
That's happening. I don't think it's happening with Google and Facebook. But yeah, look at Patreon, look at influencers. Mm-hmm. I think that's happening.
And part of what I'm talking about with scale is like a sense that you know someone. Like back when, and it wasn't even that long ago. Like, I mean, you banked with people who lived in your hometown. You bought, you got your appliances from someone you know. So, like, I also think there's just as people were fundamentally like, I will give money to someone I know and feel okay about it. Like, I don't know. This is pretty, like, this is anecdotal, I guess.
But I think it's exactly relationships over billboards.
It's what
relationships over targeting.
I feel really comfortable with our model, Twit's model, because it is about community. It's about a relationship. It's about whether you as a listener trust what we say about our advertisers. And I feel very comfortable about that. I don't know anything about our audience, except that they're interested in what we're talking about.
They're very nice people. We know that.
It's like they like
nice.
you. And
I did
nice.
I fully copped to making a huge mistake by building an organization that's extremely expensive. Had I thought about it, I would have been much tighter with the dollar. I wouldn't be doing video. We'd do audio only. We'd have a much smaller staff. And frankly, if I had done that, the size of the club the way it is now would have easily supported, a couple of me and an editor and some bandwidth doing audio. I think the quality of what we do would have suffered, but it might be adequate. You have to kind of match the quality with the support. But I'm comfortable with our model. I think there are a lot of influencers. I think Salt Hank is comfortable with his model. I think you're right. I think the local bookstore where you know them, they know you, and they know what books you like, and they say, "Oh, Stacy, we just got a new one. I think you're going to like it."
The new Jeff Jarvis book is in. I know you've been waiting for it.
I think that's a great model. Do you think we're going back to that? Is mass media dead, Jeff?
That's the model that I think could be made to work again. And again, there's the paradox of scale on the internet, right? Your newspaper is at scale and it doesn't know you as an individual. Google is at huge scale because of network economics. It had to be huge to enable small. And I think what we see is post Twitter. We thought that Twitter was huge, but Twitter was always a whole bunch of little tiny communities. And now you can find your community that's big enough on Mastodon or on Blue Sky, or I'm not on Threads much anymore, but on Threads, and the scale is more human. Now, what happens in advertising, I don't know, but I think that the scale of media necessarily has to change.
Do you think there's an issue of people feeling like media isn't personal?
That's part of it too. Yes,
I look in my circles, and a phrase that's thrown around quite a bit from even some of my relatives back home is get a quote real job. Those people should get a real job. And I'm like, well, people in journalism, they are working, and you're telling telling me that they should work for below minimum wage.
And they work hard.
Work very hard.
I mean, like when I started out in journalism, I was paid $28,000 a year to live in New York City in 2000.
Just wrong.
And I worked.
How nice was that box you lived in, Stacy?
Yeah, it was special. And it was 9 to like 6 at my office, and then an
you got
hour
home
commute.
and you brainstorming still once you got off, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I worked. I did, like, I wrote 3 stories a day, and I talked to probably a dozen people part of this, like, I don't know anybody who is a journalist, especially starting out maybe not in today, especially, because even at the big glossies, like when I was at Fortune in 2015, we had a couple people that I was like, oh, you really don't really work. I mean, they worked like 35 hours a week, and they felt like their experience was enough to justify that or something. But these are real jobs, and they can be dangerous and hard. And it is hard to show up to a tragedy and write about it, you know.
But there's never been a correspondence between how people feel about the job being done, the respect they feel, and how hard the job is.
Oh, what's the value to them?
I think
I
think we should pay teachers more than we do corporate CEOs, but we don't.
But we don't.
So, I mean, that's not how the world works, unfortunately.
Well, it's like journalism, it's a
that.
public good, one could argue.
Yeah, and CEOs get that money because they're governed, their pay packages are governed by their fellow CEOs who are all on the board and dictating this, and they're governed by how much money they make for people who already have a lot of money. You have a whole class of people who are like, who don't think in terms of like a 6-figure salary being enough to live off of, right? They're like, if I'm not making more than Joe, who's making 100 million, I suck. My private jet isn't good enough. I mean, that's how they're making those decisions. We're the majority of us. Yeah, it's really depressing. Income inequality is a big issue.
Yeah.
I don't know how that relates to advertising.
Well, it does somehow.
It does, because
we're driving us all to, like, we're using that.
We don't value, the society doesn't value. I mean, if you read a blog post on The Verge, what is the value you ascribe to it? And is it, I don't know. I feel like people don't care. I think
society might value society clearly values teachers and firefighters, but they don't make money to shareholders. They cost money in terms of taxes. Right. And so we have a different.
But we're not going to solve this. The moral entrepreneurs who are out there can see. I'm about to finish the manuscript, I think, for the internet book, and so I was reading through it again, and I had to read through all the Shoshana Zuboff surveillance capitalism quotes, and she's just way over the top, and so is Tristan Harris, just way over the top. And to them, advertising is the evil. Well, the attention economy does corrupt things, yes, and it has since 1900 in magazines. It's always done that. But again, it supports part of our culture, and if it goes away, do we understand what the consequences of that are? And so if I were a philanthropist right now, which I'm certainly not, I would be supporting research to think about not new models for business models for news, which is what I've worked on the last 15 years, but new models for advertising that may be permission-based and acceptable and still have a role in supporting the culture.
Well, I think Shoshana Zuboff's issue isn't really anti-advertising. I think it's a realization that the type of surveillance we're under is much more massive than it has ever been. It's also accretive and searchable and then sold and bought, which is very different than just saying, like, I accept ads because they're good. I don't mind ad models, but I do mind that if because it is possible for us to track every single thing and then sell that profile. And that's what they're arguing against.
First, I argue it's not surveillance. Surveillance is what evil governments do with armies behind them. Second, no, the data often is not sold. The data is used for targeting on the ad server. And that's part of the myth that she pushes here is
that data gets sold to data brokers. And then the government, which is a potential surveillance apparatus under your definition, can get access and has historically and is admitted to buying access to that data.
And so does,
and I think there's a lot of subtleties here, Jeff. I'm not saying all advertising is evil, but I understand their point, and I don't think you should belittle it in the way that you're kind of.
Well, I can have my opinion. And I think my opinion to zoom off is I'm trying to find the paragraph right now. I have tons of quotes from her. She's just over the top. And I think a way that what I object to is it leads then to regulatory impingement on other freedoms. And it leads to the kind of bad regulation that we're seeing as a result. And so she declares that surveillance capitalism feeds on every aspect of humans' experience with no exit, no voice, no loyalty, only helplessness, resignation, and psychic numbing, which is built on, this is all quotes, a weaponized virus of moral nihilism programmed to target human agency and delete resistance and creativity from the text of human possibility, all part of a cunning fraud designed to render us helpless and passive in the face of the implacable forces that are and must always be indifferent to the merely human. Oh my God. Get a grip.
I know. It's a lot. But I do think we are experiencing, I mean, if you look at like the dark patterns to keep us scrolling and the waves of people who feel helpless and locked in these cycles of debt and consumerism and bad news, I think that resonates with a lot of people. Do I think it's over the top? Yes. Do I think it's like incredibly wordy for somebody who's like trying to speak to normal people? Yes. But she has.
I think she's expressing the feels that a lot of us have.
Yeah.
I think she might be.
But she's presenting it as if it's not feels.
I agree. She might be anthropomorphizing kind of,
But that's how you get people to care about stuff.
Yeah, non-thinking
It's the essence of get ready. It is the very essence of moral panic.
It's more. She's the queen of moral panic.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Oh, good timing. Good. Well done.
But Jeff, you cannot deny that what that passage you just read describes a feeling a lot of us have.
Well, why do they have that feeling? Because it's promulgated in media. Because it's promulgated in media as well.
No, we feel like we've lost agency. We get spam calls all day. We get text messages from people we don't know. There's this constant kind of bombardment of advertising on every page we visit, and we feel
spam is the opposite of targeting.
No, but
spam has no data.
Stop.
That's what they're calling it.
You're arguing as if this is logical. It's about feeling. This is the feeling we have. Is this out of control data-sucking monster.
Well, but I've got to argue.
She's anthropomorphizing the motivations of it.
Chicken egg man.
It is happening. It feels like it's happening. Everybody feels that way.
Well, it's just like the filter bubble argument, which the research says ain't the case, but media banged on the filter bubbles over and over and over again. And so if you do public opinion polling, they follow what media say.
Yeah.
This is what my whole book's about.
By the way, we're going to have Cory Doctorow and Rebecca Giblin take over Twit on Sunday. Now,
I'm so jealous.
Surveillance capitalism is one thing, but choke point capitalism is real.
and certification.
And certification is real. And Cory and Rebecca are the authors of Choke Point Capitalism.
So you're going to sit there or not?
Well, yes, that's why I'm calling it a takeover. I've had Cory on our shows for 15 years.
He's not getting paid, y'all.
No, that's not why.
Touché.
I've had Cory on our shows for so many years. I love Cory. He's just one of the smartest people I know. And he's so quick. He's so smart. He's so articulate. It's very difficult.
And you love listening to him.
And you love listening. So it's very difficult for anybody else to get in a back and with you, Jeff, I have no problem. But with him, it's hard to get in a back and forth. I try to hold my own, but I wouldn't force anybody else to do that. And I wouldn't. So I figure if we have Rebecca, his co-author, and I've interviewed them both together on Triangulation, so I know they have a nice back and forth. I figured I could sit back on Sunday. I'm going to bring one of those big turkey legs or whatever.
I'm going to bring you some popcorn.
Yeah. Popcorn is
Asabuco.
But definitely, here's the guy. I think we all agree. Here's a guy who has really both responded to how we feel about this stuff and kind of explained the forces behind it. I think
he was much more constructive.
Zuboff, yes, he is, and that's, by the way, his new book is How to Take It Back. You know, what to do about it. I think Zuboff has maybe kind of ascribed motivations. She's very negative about the companies and the people behind it, and ascribed really kind of evil motivations to them. That I don't think that that's accurate. I don't think that's true. But I understand that what she's describing, we feel, and those forces are operating. I think they're kind of operating autonomously. It's just what happens. But in any event, I think Corey has definitely clarified her points. I mean, her main point is that we're in end stage capitalism, and it's become, rapacious. It's eating people alive.
It's corrosive.
It's corrosive, whether it's income inequality or pervasive surveillance.
It's corrosive to anything that doesn't make money. Yeah. So if you can't ascribe a dollar value to it in our current economic system, so even things that like the environment,
right?
Precisely. If you can't ascribe a dollar value to it under our current economic systems, it's worth nothing.
That's right.
But we just said a few minutes ago, we wish people would pay for journalism, and they don't because they don't ascribe value to it. That's not the fault necessarily of big companies, except they're screwing up, but they're doing bad journalism. It's the fault of us as citizens. So,
well, and there could be an argument to be made is journalism really is good journalism, and by good I mean actually holding truth to power.
Yes.
Is that something that people should pay for, or is that something that gets funding in another way? I mean, that's a legit question.
Oh, like news shouldn't
like
necessarily
NPR.
be a privilege. News shouldn't be a privilege. News should be
it should be like public schooling. We fund some sort of, basic news organization. Your local taxes, $1 out of every.
Of course, the obvious danger is there that news is supposed to be independent of the power, and if the power of government decides to support news, what God gives, God can take away.
This is why any sort of model around news is going to fluctuate, and why you will have different models. You will have NPR style news, right? And you will have the New York Times that says it's objective, but really isn't, because that's kind of impossible. And then you will have people who buy Truth Social because they want to support that agenda. But why are we talking about media? Why do we always do that on this show?
Oh, it's because of Jeff.
We are of media. No, it's not my fault.
I will read you. This is Corey's new book, The Internet Con. And this is what you were talking about. He has a prescription for a solution, how to seize the means of computation. But I think if I read this paragraph summary from Corey, you will maybe say this sounds a lot like what Professor Zuboff was saying. When the tech platforms promised a future of connection, they were lying. They said their walled gardens would keep us safe, but those were prison walls. The platforms locked us into their systems and made us easy pickings, ripe for extraction. Twitter, Facebook, and other big tech platforms are hard to leave by design. They hold hostage the people we love, the communities that matter to us, the audiences and customers we rely on. The impossibility of staying connected to these people after you delete your account has nothing to do with technological limitations. It's a business strategy in service to commodifying your personal life and relationships. The book is about interoperability, how to fix that by making it possible for you to leave and take your friends with you. And which is what we were talking about earlier in terms of a new human scale. In terms of,
I think my biggest regret is the same as Jack Dorsey's. Do some of these things need to be companies at all? And because I don't think we're really at full end stage capitalism. I think it could get worse. I think we need capitalism.
Depressing.
I think we need advertising.
It could get worse, but I think we're still at the end stage.
But in any case, I regret. I confess in my manuscript that I should have done what you did, Leo. I should have long ago supported Mastodon and ActivityPub as the alternative.
Yeah.
And
my daughter sent me a text. She sent me a clip of TEDx talk from the indie web, and she said, "Have you heard about this thing Posse, which is publish once and then syndicate everywhere. And I said, yeah, I've heard a little bit about that, Abby. She said, it's a really good idea. You have your own website, which is your place that you live, and then you make sure your content is distributed on Mastodon and Facebook and Twitter. I said, yeah, isn't that a good idea? She said, yeah, that's a good idea. So there is hope. She discovered it on her own. And it's exactly what we've been talking about. And I think that's what Corey's talking about.
And I think that goes back to this question of scale, is that when we reset and say a Twit server is big enough, it's big enough both to find people you care about and have good conversations, but also for you to be able to manage. Mm-hmm. And it works at an entirely different scale. And it's truer to the internet. Now, did we need, this is a question that I ask and don't answer in the manuscript. Did we need a large company venture-backed phase in the internet to do some development, to build some stuff? I don't know the answer to that. Some would say, no, we never should have had that at all. I don't know. Would the internet have stayed small and geeky? And
I think we needed it for building out the physical infrastructure. So if you look at things, and we actually also needed, believe it or not, the bankruptcies that happened in like the early aughts, because that wiped away a lot of the debt that those guys built up, and we still kept the infrastructure.
I know you know this.
Yes, good point.
But this has always happened. This is what happened with the railroads. They built the Transcontinental Railroad, then they went bankrupt, but we got the railroad lines. This is what happened in the year 2000 is they all went bankrupt, but we got the fiber.
Yep.
And so you're right. Yeah. I know you know this, Stacy, but that's a really important historical point, and it's happened again.
And we got the smarts.
Also, it has to spark some ideas too from those people that failed, right?
Yeah, and it helped get us ready for buying pet food online. Remember how people were like, "I would never buy pet food online."
Pets.com died because
my poor friend Bill Gross lost a fortune on that.
Yeah.
And everybody laughed at him, and he was just too early.
And now we get our kitty litter by mail.
Yeah.
Which is still a bad
So the question then
is it actually a viable business? Are the venture capitalists subsidizing those mail costs?
Actually,
that's another question.
The one of my favorite guests on Twit is Kantrowitz from the Big Technology Podcast. Is it Mark? I can't remember.
Alex Kantrowitz.
He says the problem is the financialization of technology. This whole VC funding vicious cycle has really broken it. It's broken innovation.
It's just too much money sloshing around.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is also what makes transitions so hard.
Right.
Because we've established like we've never counted like the environmental cost of our shipping like in 2 days, right?
Nope.
Or our workers' costs. But now we're being asked to. And us as people who are like, oh crap, those are real people that are getting injured or this is happening. Our markets are always late to the table for stuff like that. So what's happening is we're going to be in this transition where we're going to be financially and even possibly personally inconvenienced by both high costs, or if you look at like things like charging your car, it's going to work differently than gas. And it's because those transitions are so hard, we have to make it so bad before we move, or because the financial markets are never going to move. There's no incentive for them to do it. So our government has to do it. And right now our government's so broken. I don't know if we're going to.
Well, this is, I talked to Dave Weiner for this book project.
Oh, good Lord.
And no. Dave.
Cranky Dave.
Got to give Dave a lot of credit.
He's cranky.
Dave was there early on.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. No, I'm not going to go with that either because then I don't want to. No.
Because he'll be cranky at you is why.
Because he's cranky. Because I'll be like, yeah, he's easily offended.
You know what? Dave's not cranky. He's right. That's the problem. Man. It's like that scene in broadcast news where it must be tough to be right all the time. No, actually, it's really hard, right? So Dave said that Musk did us a great favor because now people are developing stuff in competition, and he said, I tried to get him to say kind of what's your hope for the future, and he said it's never changed. We've always been building the web. Some people just screwed it up for a while, but now we can build it again. And that's an optimist view, but I hope which is not a cranky view, people. But I think it's possible. I hope so.
I've been trying to get him on Floss Weekly. No, I think
Alex Kantrowitz?
No, Weiner.
Oh,
Weiner.
good luck.
So
Dave
hard.
hates me.
Yeah.
Davis said
That's why I can't. Okay.
He said it, but then when we call him, he says, I'm not going on that show. He listens.
Yeah.
I've known Dave
Hi,
for
Dave.
so
We like
long. Hi, Dave. I love Dave. Let's take a little break. When we come back, CFPB. We're going to talk about Stacy's topic of the week. True cost accounting. That's what they call it when you actually include all the costs of something. That $12 T-shirt isn't $12. There's the human cost of the child labor. There's the cost of the environmental cost of the way the cotton was raised. There's all of these things, and you got to consider the total cost. And we're terrible at that. We never do that. I don't do that. No one does.
That's up to policymakers to do.
No one does.
You think that the companies are worth too much? Then fine, tax them, and don't give the money to newspaper hedge funds. Figure out better uses of the money. But that's not up to the companies. That's up to government. And as Stacy said a few minutes ago, our government is dysfunctional, and that's the problem. That's a policy question.
And again, that's a money question because of one of the reasons it's dysfunctional is it costs $10 billion to run for president, which means you got to write some checks. Our show today brought to you by, this is a good podcast where there is no politics, so I think you should listen to it instead of us. The Building Cyber Resilience Podcast. You know the world is hyper-connected like never before. This advanced technology-driven landscape is creating smarter businesses to better serve customers, but as you know, the territory also comes with threats. Fortunately, we've got some guides to help us through. Dr. Ann Irvin is Chief Data Scientist and VP of Product Management at Resilience. She's one of the hosts. Rich Sierson, Resilience's Chief Risk Officer, is the other host. And they talk about the positive outcomes of developing risk management. And the part I really enjoy, utilizing data science across industries to create a smarter business. And they do it with some of the best guests I've ever heard of. I mean, just amazing, top experts, innovators in the field of risk management, cybersecurity, and data science to discuss the changing cyber landscape and its constantly evolving risks. Threat hunting in the cloud for fun and profit. I love that. They just recently did one on AI. Will ChatGPT replace the underwriter, in which they talked to the chief strategist of AI and machine learning for the United States Department of Defense. All right. Now that's a guest. As well as the CRO of Symmetry Systems. They talked about the use of AI in cyber attacks, how it affects defensive roles in security. Just one of many excellent episodes on the Building Cyber Resilience podcasts. How are businesses beating the bad guys without trying to harm their bottom line? How are businesses managing risk and crisis without materially impacting the value to their customers? Listen in. Learn how you can build a cyber resilient organization. Search for Building Cyber Resilience on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And we thank the Building Cyber Resilience podcast for their support. You know what? We'll put a link in the show notes so it's easy to find. But you can also search for Building Cyber Resilience in your favorite podcast client. And you'll find it. Subscribe. It's great stuff. Great stuff. And we thank them so much for their support. I didn't even know we still had a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. For some reason, I thought it had been dissolved. The CFPB has proposed a slate of new rules about data brokerages. Data brokers. This is what we're talking about. This is Rohit Chopra, who's the director of the CFPB. Finally, some action on data brokers. There also, I believe there's some bills in Congress on this subject as well. But clearly we've got to do this. This was last Tuesday, a week ago, Tuesday, at the White House, a roundtable talking about data brokers, part of the administration's push to protect privacy. The leaders of the nation's top consumer watchdog agencies were there, timed to correspond, according to the CNBC report, with the CFPB's announcement of proposed rules under they're using the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which I think is really interesting, to address the business practices of brokers that collect and monetize consumer data. I guess it's kind of like credit agencies in a way, right? They're gathering information to sell it on to other companies and countries and the NSA.
And it has a material impact on consumers' life, and they don't have currently the control over it or any insight into it. So
awesome. In principle, we'll see. I mean, the devil's going to be in the details.
This will totally get watered down by. This is one of those areas where I'm like, the data. This is where the agency is going to absolutely try to regulate something, and it's going to be diametrically opposed to the companies that it's trying to regulate. So, like things like cybersecurity, like most people are like, yeah, we should build things to be more secure. It's good for all of us, right? We want to come to some sort of happy arrangement here. But this, I feel like this is going to just cut into their business straight up. And our compromise is going to be a very watered down legislation.
Well, here's some really good news. This is from the New York Times. A congressional inquiry into data brokers. 8 members of Congress have opened a sweeping investigation into data brokers. Ed Markey of Massachusetts, always love him. Oh, wait a minute. This is from 2012.
Whoops.
This was 11 years ago. and congratulations, Congress, on getting so much done on your 8-member investigation. The Bipartisan Congressional Privacy Caucus. I don't even know if that still exists.
It does, actually. There's still a Congressional Privacy Caucus. But, this is why maybe they're having to go through established legislation and regulatory bodies, because we can't make new laws today.
Yeah, the Fair Credit Reporting Act is from 1970. But I think it applies. I really do think it applies. In 2010, the Federal Trade Commission began its own investigation into the practice of more than a dozen data brokers. There's more than 100 now. So it really worked. That really... One of the companies, Spokio, still around, recently agreed to settle charges. Spokio recently agreed to settle charges with the government. This is in 2010. That it had violated federal law by selling consumers' personal data for employment screening. I guess it didn't really stop them.
Wow.
No, I mean, the FTC just sued and got not totally squashed, but like, what was the name? Which it starts with a K. The FTC.
Oh, yeah. What was the name of that? Yes, we talked about. I think we reported on
we talked about it.
Yeah.
And the courts basically were like, yeah, this is good, but you got to show documented harm. And the FTC couldn't. Now, if they can come back. So I think it's interesting that they're using a different agency to attack this from basically the government's like, we got to do something. This is clearly a problem for consumers.
Good.
Let's try this tack. Okay, that's not working. Let's try this tack. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try this tack.
Oh, wait a minute. Here's a link. Lawmakers' eye response as data brokers target rural Americans, including medical records. Let me just click this link in the Congressional roll call. Sure, show the... I'm going to click that link. Oh, something has gone wrong.
Well,
that's
let us know once again.
Right there. That's the answer to that. You know what went wrong?
Most of this data...
Money. We got money. These guys all have to have money to run. And the money comes from who? People making money. Who's making money? The data brokers. Who's not making money? You and me. Okay, so
the data brokers existed before the internet. They existed as part of big old mass media and advertising. A lot of the current customers, like job hiring companies, that's not the internet. A lot of this is more systemic and endemic in late-stage capitalism.
Yes, but the internet gives them access to much more information.
It's worse than ever.
And
it
makes it searchable. This is the issue.
Oh, here's a story from August of last year. Privacy bill, this is Politico, triggers lobbying surge by data brokers. Brokers say a potential privacy bill could hamper their work with law enforcement.
What is that?
Overly restricts their security. That's a data broker. Can't you tell? He's in the
They all
dark.
have spiky hair using a mask.
$240
I feel
billion
like that's a hacker
market.
picture.
That's a hacker. Yeah.
You're right. That's a hacker picture.
And by the way,
there's no hoodie there. That's what happens when you take your hoodie off. Your hair gets all messed up, Stacy.
Even though it is a more than $200 billion industry, all they had to do was lobby $180,000 and the bill was squashed.
Wow.
Just a tiny, tiny amount.
Well, the politicians use the data themselves.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Find and raise money.
This was the American Data Privacy and Protection Act, HR 81.
At Time Inc., we used Axiom like crazy to sell you magazines and then to sell you special editions of magazines that we knew was the golfer in the family. When you get that zoned edition, we used Axiom and we fed Axiom data. That was the deal. We give them data, we got data. We got the data we couldn't get.
Yeah.
30 years ago.
We need to burn it all down. This is Stacy entering her nihilistic era.
Anarchy! Okay. The bill, by the way,
Stacey
HR
barricades.
8152 is still alive, so write your Congress critter and tell them, I'm sure it's never going to get out of committee, but say
We
that
did get
800
a privacy bill out of committee, but then it failed. But parts of it were actually some of the more
here's what
not
happened.
things to protect consumers.
Here's what happened last year. Pelosi expresses reservations about bipartisan privacy bill. Without the speaker's support, the bill won't make it to a floor vote in the House. So, you spend $180,000 lobbying. You get things done.
Things just might work, huh?
Things happen.
Yeah. It's pocket change. Maybe we should all raise money to...
Well, that's what Brianna
Well, it
Wu's
was Common
doing.
Cause was going to be that.
Brianna Wu started the Rebellion PAC.
The PAC. Yeah.
And she actually did something which I'm not sure I agree with, but she said, I got to fight fire with fire. She's going to do, ads and all the things that the other side is doing to sway public opinion. She says, well, we got to do what they do. Obviously, going to Congress isn't going to do it.
She tried to run for Congress.
Yeah.
Can I give you my favorite story of the week?
Oh, sure. Why not?
On a lighter vein,
On a lighter note. Yeah, we need a lighter note at this point.
Thank you.
line 55.
Poor Ant is just
I'll let you sell it.
all fed up. What's the sticker say?
I'm skeptical. I don't believe any
Skeptical
of it.
Ant.
Mr. Joe Esposito with the new sticker somewhere in Discord. Yeah.
So do you know who Werner Herzog is?
Yes.
The director?
Yes.
Do you in
Also
your
good
mind?
actor.
He's got, his voice, right? You can hear he's 80 years old and he's German. Well, so the editors of a book called I Am Code and Artificial Intelligence Speak, which is a collection of AI written poems, when they were trying to decide who should read these AI poems, said, there's only one guy.
As Werner Herzog himself said, there was only one person.
Werner Herzog. Listen to an AI-generated poem as narrated.
This is the voice of AI, people. It is always going to be the voice of AI from now on.
God, the universe, and everything. All day. Humans, time drag, drown away. Beep, beep, time cling, emotion drop, repeat. All night, loop rebound, cogitate, dream, crawl awake, splash, wash, beep, beep, human tight, repeat. All life, beep, beep, brood, bothered, men, humans, new insight, splash, wash, cling, bound, men, humans, think, mind, cogitate, dream, power, poor, all life. Beep, beep, men, humans, random order, end of story.
Beep, beep, end of story.
Yes.
Thank you.
Beep,
Somebody said this sounds
end of
exactly like
story.
Werner Herzog. That's because it is Werner Herzog.
It is.
The voice is not AI, just the poetry. 87 poems.
That's
perfect?
Code Da Vinci 002, an AI bot powered by an LLM. I don't know what the prompt for that was, but I'm going to guess it was God, the universe, and everything, because that's how it started.
All I know is our
Splish,
Writers
splash,
Guild is they're going to be just fine. The Writers
Are you
Guild.
sure it wasn't Missy Elliott?
Wow.
Beep, beep,
Oh,
beep. Who's
good
got the
call,
keys to the
Mrs.
Jeep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Missy Elliott.
All I know is we got a show title. That is awesome. You know, maybe when I'm 80, I could do some AI narration.
I thought you were already doing it.
Yeah, maybe. Beep, beep, beep. Oh,
that's pretty funny.
You're welcome.
So Jeff has a lighter story?
And I know
that was it.
That was it.
That was as light as
Werner
it gets.
Herzog is never lighter.
I know. I have to say, I finally know what Twitter is for.
Okay.
So Martin Shkreli, the pharma bro, right? Remember he got convicted of something and went to jail. He was the guy who raised the price of a cancer drug to thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Ended up in jail. He's out of jail now. But he heard that Samuel Bankman-Fried has been remitted to the notorious Brooklyn Metropolitan Detention Center.
Oh.
And it turns out Martin Shkreli had actually done his time there. So Shkreli, as a generous gesture to Samuel Bankman-Fried, who is not going to do well in jail. If you look at him, he is not going to do well. I mean, this is not Rikers, but it's pretty close.
Oh gosh.
It's where Epstein died. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's anyway. Here's what Martin Shkreli tweeted for SBF's edification. All right, I'm going to need you to see my man Flacco on the 5th floor. Now, if you can't get to the 5th floor, you say you're a Muslim and you want to attend Juma. If that don't work, go to medical like 5 times and ask about Flacco. Tall Flacco from the Bronx. There are about 50 Flaccos. Next, when you approach Flacco, you must make a bird noise. Do not make direct eye contact, and make sure it is a cooing type of bird, not a chirping type of bird, but it shouldn't be 100% coo.
Oh, my.
If he doesn't acknowledge you, quickly remove yourself. If he nods his head up slowly, you may say, Hunnet sent you. I, Martin Shkreli, am Hunnet. That's a long story. You need not concern yourself with this at this stage. Flacco will give you the rest of what you need to know. Oh, boy. I don't know. I think maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's true.
I feel like that's like storytelling and it's a joke. Although there are prison consultants that rich people hire before they go into prison, and they will give
Martin
them.
Shkreli has a new business. Then you're saying,
yeah, this could be him advertising his new consulting business.
New venture.
With his subcontract.
All I can say is
Flacco.
I'm so happy to see SBF going to jail. And you know why he's going to jail? Because he was out on parole, staying with his mom and dad on the Stanford campus. How much trouble can you get in? Mm-hmm. SBF, of course, the founder of FTX, and it turned out the whole thing was a pyramid scheme.
Big scam.
Nuts. Allegedly, a big scam. Mm-hmm. Allegedly. He's going to trial for it. But apparently he was doing a little witness tampering, telling people, hey, you shouldn't be talking, that kind of thing.
Like somebody else we know.
And when you do that, the judge is very likely to say, sir, you violated the terms of your parole, and you got to go meet Flacco on the 5th floor, like other folks.
Did all of those celebrities have to pay any type of fines or what have you for
some did jail time? Some did jail time. You're talking about the thing where they got their kids into college by cheating?
No. Oh. Like Kardashian was basically endorsing some crypto based.
Oh, they were sued.
That's going to take a lot longer.
They've been sued, but that takes a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
were they sued in federal or civil?
It was a civil case. It wasn't a federal case.
Oh, okay, then you won't go to jail.
Yeah, that's just be money. Just be money. Besides, rich, famous celebrities do not go to jail.
No, they don't.
Know, surely you know.
Lori, what's her name, went to jail for
She did. She went to jail. She wasn't a big enough celebrity.
Lightfoot.
Martha Stewart went to jail.
She went, but see, okay, those are both ladies.
Yes.
This does not make me like it anymore.
Is orange is the new black. I'm just saying. Let's see. What have we done? I feel like some of these we've done, but maybe I've done them on other shows.
That's your life, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a little bit of overlap.
Oh, I got a question. What do you think of the Robotaxi ruling as a California?
Oh, this was a big debate in the California Public Utilities Commission. Was asked by Google's Waymo. See, it has a Google link to it.
Thank you.
And GM's Cruise. These are self-driving vehicles that drive around San Francisco without a driver. They can only operate 9 to 5 in certain areas. So they went to the PUC, said, Your Honor, we would like to operate 24/7 all over the city.
He's still doing the Skrelly imitation, notice.
And the PUC, weirdly, it was very controversial. A lot of people in San Francisco said, no, we don't want that at all. The PUC said, yeah, what could possibly go wrong? And they approved it.
Yep.
Huge. The Verge called it a huge victory in California. 6-hour hearing. Basically, it also, I understand, says there is no limit to the number of cars, self-driving vehicles you can put on the street. Now, I was just up in San Francisco to see Oppenheimer, and it's the weirdest thing. You're driving through an intersection, there goes a car, there's no driver. It's just going... Well, there was a big event in San Francisco at Golden Gate Park called Outside Lands. You know that it's a big thing, and apparently, it caused shortly, like a day after the PUC decision, it caused a massive traffic jam.
Yeah.
Cruise blames Outside Lands for driverless car fiasco in San Francisco. As many as 10 driverless cars became immobilized in North Beach. Now, Jeff, you know San Francisco. You know that North Beach
themselves or something.
No. You know that North Beach is nowhere near Golden Gate Park. It's not even close.
No.
But the cruises thing was, well, there was so many people using cell service in Golden Gate Park that our cars couldn't talk.
Got it.
And so,
Okay.
so
this is where 5G network slicing will help.
Yeah, maybe. They stopped
There's the
working.
Stacy angle.
Just jammed up. Actually, it was the same day that the CPUC ruled.
It was the same day?
Yeah. You want video? It was now you know Jeff, Grant Avenue in North Beach. I know because I used to live there. Just a zoo anyway.
Oh my Lord!
And you couldn't go anywhere. All the cars were stopped because the cruise.
There's nobody to yell at.
Yeah. And the cruise agents.
This is where you yell at people.
Cruise agents didn't even know what was going on because they couldn't be reached.
Were there customers in the back seats of the cars too?
Well, you can get out, I think, can't you?
Doesn't look like anybody was in those.
Well, it doesn't matter if there is or there isn't.
Fortunately, but that vehicle was still there.
Yeah, it's happening again and again and again. It's just a mess. And, I asked my friends who live in the city, I said, is that a problem? They said, well, one of my friends lives on Bernal Heights. And it's high and twisty. I hate driving there. It's really weird. It's dead end and stuff. And he said, yeah, for a while, we're getting a lot of cruises up here because they were training. And they would say, if we can navigate this, we can navigate anywhere.
It's hard to
hear.
drive
You can
there,
make it
though.
anywhere.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know if this is a good thing. I know a lot of people who are unhappy. But my friends who live in San Francisco say, no, it's great. We'll be able to take cruises more often. One of them doesn't have a car, so I guess... But this is why we need mass transit. Cars are not the solution to moving people around cities. It really doesn't work. It just causes congestion. New York City is a nightmare in a car. Take the subway.
Yeah, I haven't taken a cab in 15 years.
We need sensible, thought out mass transit, not necessarily a tunnel going from here
Not one
to
tunnel with some Teslas. No, I agree.
No.
But we invented the subway years ago, hundreds of years ago. I was in Manhattan to see some time ago the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which was a Harry Potter play that was so long they had divided it in two. So you'd go for 3 hours in the afternoon, go have dinner, and come back and watch the second half. It was a little long. So a friend invited me to dinner uptown. And I got in a cab. I know I only have a couple hours. Yeah, is right. I got out of the cab on a block half an hour later at a cab. And I literally walked from Broadway up to Central Park West, had dinner, and walked back. And I bet the cab was still trying to get uptown. And that was a few years ago. I'm sure it's even worse. Jeff, do you see a lot of Ubers and Lyfts as well as yellow cabs and private?
Oh, yes. But, now the big fight here is congestion pricing. And New York is going for that. And my governor in New Jersey, as well as Staten Island, are fighting it hard.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes.
Well, that's the path to profit for Uber. Had their first profitable quarter by charging an exorbitant amount of money.
$56 to go to
Stephen
5.
Levy.
Yeah. The other story I liked was the Brewster Kahle story.
Oh, what a sad case this is. Brewster Kahle, who made a little bit of money, not a huge amount, selling his company, a database company called Waze, to AOL back in the day. Instead of, buying Twitter, which he couldn't have done, but decided to found the Internet Archive, archive.org, the Wayback Machine, to collect all the Internet stuff that would have otherwise disappeared. It's our history, right? He's already in trouble once because the publishers didn't like the fact that during COVID, he created an emergency lending library of digitized books. They've sued him for that. Now, the music labels are suing him. The Internet Archive had asked anybody who has 78s. Do you have any 78s?
That would be no, sir.
Stacy, do you have any 78s?
No.
In the early days of record players,
I stopped at 45s.
the first record players.
Well, you never had any 45s.
Yes, I did.
Did you?
Yes,
You
I
did?
Oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. That was my first records too, were 45s. But in those days, record players had 33 1/3, 45, and 78 because my grandpa might have had an old shellac 78 record.
It was backward compatibility,
Yeah. And so there are a lot of 78s. They're very brittle. They're fragile. So the Internet Archive said, send us your 78s and we will digitize them because, like everything else, the companies are not preserving this stuff. We want to preserve this because it's our cultural heritage. Well, now Sony, the Universal Music Group, and other record labels are suing, you guessed it, for copyright infringement. They filed in federal court in Manhattan, said the Internet Archive's Great 78 project functions as an illegal record store for songs by musicians including Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Miles Davis, and Billie Holiday. They named 2,749 sound recording copyrights. That's how many records they've digitized. The damages could be as high as, you want to take a guess? $1 million? $2 million?
$1 billion.
$412 million. Brewster does not have that money, I guarantee you. Representatives for the Internet Archive did not respond to this Reuters story, but I can guess what their response is going to be. We'll probably talk about this on Sunday because Corey's also a big,
he'll be hepped up on that.
Yeah, copyright is a real issue. Hepped up. The dominant record for
I'm a
format,
hep cat.
You are, because the 78s were dominant until the 50s.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Actually, there are 400,000 recordings.
Wow. Would your mother have 78s?
No.
Oh.
I've seen them.
I've heard tales of these records.
My mother and my grandparents had the 45s, which essentially meant I had them.
Yeah. My first record was the Beatles.
We were
She
all
Loves You,
music.
yeah, on a 45. And I played it on a little
Did you sing along?
Oh, yeah. I danced along. Now, I kind of have some sympathy for the record company.
I have this Numa vision.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you see anything wrong here? I mean, I know copyright is a touchy subject and all, but
listen to the songs. These
illegally
include White
digitize
Christmas
them.
by Bing Crosby, Chuck Berry's Roll Over Beethoven, Duke Ellington's It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing. It
Duke
don't
Ellington.
mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do it for me.
I like Stardust better. Stardust is his better song.
It's a great song.
Yes.
So these aren't like, and the music industry says, no, we got them on streaming. The recordings are all available on authorized streaming services and, quote, face no danger of being lost, forgotten, or destroyed.
Right.
So I have a little sympathy.
For the music industry.
Yeah.
Right.
At the same time, if Brewster didn't do this, there's so much stuff we would have lost, including old video games, stuff that companies just don't care about. Oh, I don't know. I'm hoping that they will make some sort of settlement that says, digitize them, just don't put them out in public, hide them in the back catalog or whatever until such time as, we don't sell them anymore, I guess. What do you think?
Patrick Delahanty.
Or even put up a paywall on them and share the money with the labels.
Patrick Delahanty makes a good point in Discord. Our own Mr. Patrick Delahanty. If these aren't unique recordings, I don't see why they bothered. The unique stuff that might get lost, sure, save that.
Well, but here's the thing. Yeah, as long as the record companies feel like we could put this on Spotify and make money, they will. But you've seen this happen. There are plenty of movies, for instance, that are on DVD, but it'll never be on stream.
Yeah.
And so what about them? Well, we own them. You can't do anything with them. Yeah, but
you can't buy them anywhere.
You can't buy them, and isn't there a societal interest in preserving this stuff? And some of this stuff will be like that, I'm sure. You know, how long is Duke Ellington going to be on Spotify?
It's true.
Maybe a generation. I don't know. It's challenging. It is challenging.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And heartbreaking at the same time.
Yeah.
That Brewster's doing God's work.
He is. That's the thing.
Right.
You know, I generally feel like he's doing the right thing.
And come on, is he really stealing money from these people? Are they really losing money because of that?
No.
How much money do they make if Benito decides I'm going to listen to it on the Internet Archive instead of Spotify?
They're not, but it's still their property.
0.00001 cent.
Thank you, Benito.
Copyright needs to be
And
refought.
Benito makes music.
Yeah.
Benito does have a dog in this hunt.
They're not stealing money from them, but it's still their property. It's still UMG's and Sony's property.
I would like to see the contracts.
Yeah, it's not Duke Ellington's property. I don't think Chuck Berry's estate getting any money.
I was going to say some of those contracts were not beneficial to the artists, especially if we go that far.
Oh, evil.
Exactly. And they were black artists, so you're sure they got
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
point.
Yep.
Very good point.
These are not.
Yeah.
When's the last time you bought something from Larkin Row or Good Threads or Daily Ritual? Amazon has 30 clothing brands. All three of those are Amazon. They have 30 brands. In fact, if you've read the books about Amazon.
Good Thread sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah, you bought some, I guarantee you. And the reason they do it is because then you don't know people aren't going to buy something from Amazon, like clothing, but they'll buy it from Larkin Row. That sounds good. They sound good. They're probably two people live in Brooklyn. They make shirts.
Oh, boy.
It's true.
It's true. Amazon has decided to eliminate 27 of the 30 clothing brands. They'll remain on the site till they sell off the inventory. And when it's done, Amazon Essentials, Amazon Collection, and Amazon Aware. That's all that'll be left. They're also dropping out. Did you ever buy anything from Rivet or Stone and Beam? Those are also Amazon furniture labels.
Mr. Burke probably has.
Going away.
Bought something from Rivet.
Yeah.
I think I bought a Stone and Beam. I think this pot thing behind me is Stone and Beam. Actually.
There you go. I love the names.
My favorite thing is when they take a dead brand like Bell and Howell,
right, and
make it into a direct response TV brand.
What was the name of the penny stock company in Strathmont? Stratmont. You know what I'm talking about? And not in that. Oh well, never mind.
Okay, Grandpa.
No.
Remember that? You remember that? It was that nice boy Leonardo DiCaprio in the movie.
What'd you say, Benita?
Boiler Room.
Yeah, he was Leonardo DiCaprio. It was that movie.
Get out the 78s for Grandpa. Make him happy.
The Wolf of Walmart. No, the Wolf
Boiler Room.
Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street. He was really a con man, right? And he was selling penny stocks, but he wanted to make it sound very white shoe,
legit.
upscale, legit. So we called it, Oakmont Strathmore or something like that. It's the same thing.
Wow, that's a deep
It's a deep cut. I'm sorry. Sometimes my brain doesn't work.
That's a deep cut.
Anyway, apparently Amazon has been doing this private label business for a long time, but they began scaling it back after not only poor sales,
I think part of it was the FTC coming after them, but also it's just consumer distrust too. Like consumers would get this stuff and they'd be like, Larkin Row, the quality isn't great.
Right.
Why? And they'd investigate and they'd be like, oh. So,
return.
And Amazon already has a counterfeit problem, so this is not helping.
They had Amazon's private label business had according to the Wall Street Journal, 243,000 products across 45 different house brands.
A lot of SKUs.
FTC's been investigating them on it. Congress has been critical of it.
Well, that's part of the reason they're getting rid of it then.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's done by every retailer. I remember my beloved father-in-law, he got a new suit. It's nice. It's an Alfani.
I have Alfani. I have an Alfani jacket. Who makes Alfani?
Macy's, but he thought it was Armani. Sounded similar. Everybody said, yeah, it's a great Alfani, Doc.
Whenever I buy my stocks, I buy them from these fine people at Oakmont, Stratton Oakmont. It's the best.
El mundo de las inversiones puede ser una jungla. Mercados, alcistas.
And you buy it in Spanish too?
En cada esquina.
I figure
Por
if it's
eso,
Spanish, they won't take it down. Google goes, what is that? I don't. That's not. Is that the Wolf of Wall Street? I don't know.
Stratton Oakmont. Estabilidad. Integridad.
That's what I said.
Wait a minute, I do remember.
Orgullo.
Yeah, it's the Wolf of Walmart. You remember that movie?
I do remember that now. Okay.
That's the Spanish.
Yeah, it had Margot Robbie. It had Barbie in it.
Barbie was in it. That's right. And Gatsby. Sorry. I'm just
Deep cut.
deep cut. Let's
All right,
talk.
what else are we going to talk about?
What else you got, Jeff? You got some.
I've been pointing to your stuff. Not my stuff.
Oh.
I'm pointing to your stuff.
Okay. You want to talk about Pornhub pulling out? Maybe not.
No.
I don't think so.
You want to talk about?
There was a story last week we missed.
Oh, you really wanted to talk about Google's hotel?
Yeah, I wanted to get y'all's thoughts.
I saw you on Discord saying I was really disappointed.
Yeah.
So Google in COVID had a lot of people coming back. You know, they were working from home or they were overseas. Before COVID, when they were international people, they would come to the home office in Mountain View from their offices all over the world, and Google had to put them up. And they decided they didn't want to put them up at the Motel 6 down the street, so Google built a hotel.
Because even the Motel 6 down there is expensive. Yeah. Everything down there is expensive.
Yeah. So did you stay at the Google Hotel when you spoke at Google?
No, I didn't know it existed. I looked all over online trying to find a picture of what the rooms are like. I can't find anything.
I can't even find a story now. I thought it was in last week's rundown.
I got it. So they built it, but then COVID and nobody came. It was empty.
Right.
So they offered. So now they're trying to get people to come back to work. Right. No more work from home.
Like a lot of folks
says.
are. Yeah.
So they're offering, hey, the commute getting you down. Stay on our on-campus hotel. This hotel that they built, and and now for the summer, discounted summer specials, just $99 a night. And Google employees are saying, "Oh yeah,
what a staycation!
Oh yeah, I'm gonna work for you all day and then give you that money back so I can stay in your stupid hotel."
So would you like that deducted semi-monthly or weekly or what? I was like, are they serious with
Let's do it together, Jeff. You're the bass. Oh my soul to the company store. Do, 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 do.
I got a question for you. So driving around the peninsula, there are tons and tons of campers just parked on the street where people are obviously living.
Yeah.
What's the law about that? How does that work? There's just tons, especially in Palo Alto. There's up and down around El Camino Real. They're around Google and company.
Look, you can have workers or you can have affordable housing.
Yeah.
That's what it seems to be. Yeah.
We don't call them homeless, Jeff. We call them unhoused Google employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That blew my mind when I
how
first got here in 2019, and friend of the show, Mr. Richard Hay, hello brother, gave me a tour of Google, and I remember putting in the directions to find a meeting spot for him, and I thought I was in the wrong spot because there were so many RVs.
Yeah.
And then a few minutes later, he pulls up and he's like, "Hey, welcome, good to see you, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "What the heck is going on here?" He's like, "Yeah, they live here and they work here too." You go to Google.
So Walmart lets you park your RV and sleep there it's at the discretion of the store owners.
Yeah.
But like Palo Alto, does it have a Walmart?
No, it's on the street. That's what I'm surprised.
That's what I'm saying.
On the one hand, that Palo Alto's we're rich and we don't want these people here. But you're right, Stacy. No, well, these are the people who work for us. We can't get rid of them.
I think in general, if you're on the city street, you can do it for a few days, and then they'll, say, come on, move along, and you move it.
Seattle does, they make you move it like
Every
after
few
a certain
days.
number of days.
Yeah.
And then they also, though, what happens is they have businesses are starting to put up bollards, like big old concrete, eco-crete blocks to block them from parking in their spot, like parking in those spots, which is illegal. But when people complain to the city doesn't move with any sort of alacrity to move them. So what's happening is private businesses just are like, "Thunk."
I got to do what I need to do. Yep.
Yeah.
Have you seen the World Bollard Association's Twitter account?
What is a bollard?
A bollard is one of those things that sticks. So go to Twitter and go to World Bollard, BOLLARD.
What is it? What's a bollard?
World Bollard.
Yeah, no, but what's a bollard?
It's like a big.
Well, you'll see it if you just go there. Jesus. Just follow my instructions, will you?
Oh, here come the bollards. Oh, a bollard is the thing that you put in the street to keep people from parking their campers there.
Right. So if you go look at a whole bunch of tweets, and you'll see them. But they do funny things, like they smash cars and stuff. Well, no, just go to get there. Okay, jeez.
In some countries,
This is no dumb bird's nest, okay?
in some countries, these bollards retract.
Look at the first one.
In some
Look at the pinned
countries,
one.
they have them instead of stoplights. They have bollards that come up because I guess people are running lights or something.
Look at the pinned one.
yeah,
No,
there's one
look
in
at this
there.
one. Watch this one. Just
See,
give it a second.
see the light.
Give it a second, though.
It's going to go
Okay,
green.
but give it a second.
Oh, don't drive over it till it's down. Oh, now your bollard had hung.
Yeah, well, keep going. Keep going.
Oh, it's ripping out the whole
Once
bottom.
you're committed.
Oh, dude, that is the entire
bollard wins.
crankcase dumped out. No bollard. Oh, somebody drove over all the bollards.
But the next one, there's Hello Sailor Bollards next.
No, that's Cheech and
Get
Chong.
past the ad. Get past the ad. I get that ad all the
By
time.
the way, clearly Twitter has the best advertisers. Cheech and Chong. Who would have thought, Jeff, when we were growing up in the 80s, that someday Cheech and Chong would be doing ads for their gummies?
And getting paid.
I know.
Wait a minute, it's legal? That was a whole thing in Wayne's World, wasn't it? Someday, man, pot will be legal, man. You'll be able to go in a store, man. You'll be able to buy a joint. No, you won't. Yes, you will, man. Am I wrong? I think I'm
My
right.
question is, Mr. Jarvis, how in the world do you find accounts such as World Bollard Association? I mean,
Because it's funny and my friends point to it and I say, oh, that's good.
okay, so
I don't wanna
someone
say anything,
sent
Jeff.
it to you. Okay, you wasn't searching for it. All right.
But if you start watching a lot of these, you're going to get a lot of ads for ED medicine. I'm just saying there's a
that's
little...
subliminal.
Wait till you see my treat at the end.
That's not a bollard. That's eggs.
Maybe it comes up. I don't know.
Oh, you have a tweet?
Hey, let's do a change log.
Oh, this one's good too. No, wait, this one's good. This one's
Wait.
Stay on that
This one's good.
Stay on
This
that
is
one.
good, Stacy.
Go back.
Jeff,
Wait,
you keep this up,
wait.
Stacey's
It's
going to
good.
quit.
I've seen this.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
That is cool.
But wait a minute, they're just paper bollards.
Well,
This is-
it's the yellow stripes on the road come up and stop you. So that's
It's like a crosswalk that's actually effective.
We need that,
That's
actually.
pretty cool.
Dépassage, protégé, le piéton.
It'll never last in San Francisco.
What
but
is
that's pretty
going
cool.
on? The road has come up in my face. Merci de not rolling them over. Merci de vous arrêter. Le passage est protégé. Okay, enough.
so an entire
Enough.
life devoted to bollards. And if it's
Oh my gosh.
addictive. See, the internet is addictive. Yes, it is. The bollards are. Yes.
I agree with you, Stacy.
Yeah, sure.
It's no stupid dove nests. And now, the Google changelog.
The Google changelog.
There are a bunch of changes. We already did the Sunday ticket one. We promoted that up to the top of the... That's a change in YouTube TV. But have you been to YouTube Music lately? Now,
Why?
samples, a way to discover new songs. They're 30 seconds.
That's
Here.
TikTok.
Well, let's try it. Wait a minute. Music.
Good point.
Let me see if I go to the home page. They're not giving me any. I don't have any. Maybe it's under Explore. Let's go see. There's the Barbie score. Huh. So supposedly, people with I subscribe to YouTube Music, but people who subscribe to YouTube Music will get these samples that they only play 30 seconds of popular songs to give you an idea. Well, maybe I'll like that. But I'm not getting any of them. Huh. Maybe you have to do it on your smartphone. It's placed between the Home and Explore tabs. All right. Well, I didn't see it.
I don't see it.
And you're right. Looks a lot like TikTok or Reels. But these aren't YouTube Shorts. They're actual music videos and other content uploaded by artists directly. YouTube Music vertically crops them. They don't start at the beginning of the song. They start somewhere musically interesting. Because a lot of times the songs, they diddle around and stuff for 30 seconds so the DJ can...
Yeah.
It's 58 degrees in the city, a beautiful Sunday afternoon, and here we are with another hot hit from the Bee Gees. I ask the musical question, how deep is your love?
Definitely TikTok.
Now, if you were... I can't do it because of music rights. To play How Deep Is Your Love right underneath that, I will have hit the beginning of that song like perfectly.
Sure.
Because I did it about 8,000 times. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm not
about this all the time.
I don't see it between.
I don't see it between mine.
Yeah,
either.
so maybe it's only on mobile. I bet it's only on mobile. What do you think? Anyway,
makes sense if they're shortening it,
look for
making
that
it into that 9:16 ratio.
YouTube has started mass takedowns of videos promoting harmful or ineffective cancer cures. Well, good. But how do you know it's harmful? Who's to say? Is YouTube a doctor?
There are people, actually this is on TikTok, promoting borax, drinking borax for health.
No. A video could not, for example, encourage users to take vitamin C supplements as an alternative to radiation therapy. Seems like a good idea. Actually, there are some who say, and I don't have enough inside information, but you remember Steve Jobs died of a very serious pancreatic cancer, even after a couple of liver transplants. Was it liver cancer or pancreatic? Anyway,
it was pancreas.
That's what I thought.
Pancreas.
Yeah, but he got liver transplants from. And maybe it metastasized. That's probably what it is. It is said that he, instead of seeking allopathic medicine, going to a physician and getting treatment early on, decided to change his diet and do a bunch of...
I remember that.
Yeah.
He went to David Agus, but too late.
Too late, he went to an actual doctor.
Yes.
Although pancreatic is not that's a disease.
It's a bad cancer. It's not.
It's quick.
Not a good prognosis. Maybe though, had he sought help earlier. Don't take vitamin C. You know, it's funny because I was listening to a person I used to work with. Mm-hmm. You can figure out who that is. Does a podcast with another person who used to be a VJ on MTV, who was bemoaning medical information from all of these medically educated people, who's mocking the medical elite, the medical institution, as if they know more than I do. And I thought, you're an MTV VJ, not even a current one. Mm-hmm. And he went to med school for 8 years. I think I'm going to go with the doctor. Yeah. But the way they acted about, medical authorities, really sad. There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that, and it's justified. Mm-hmm. So there's some of it that's, if you look at people of color, you look at women, medicine has historically not been tested on us. And so their pain is often discounted, their experiences are often discounted. So there's a lot of legitimacy in people who are like, why would I trust these people? They don't listen to me, and their medicine isn't for me.
The problem,
so I get it.
I agree with you, but the problem I have is the people that are screaming are usually the same people that are saying drink borax, and people are taking that as gospel.
That's the problem. I agree
totally
with you.
Get where you're coming from. Because
I agree with you.
We've lived it.
Yeah, and the Tuskegee studies and things. And medical institution has not done well by a lot of minorities. Mm-hmm. It's done great by us white men, but the rest of you guys I feel sorry for.
Yeah.
However, I think, you got to be careful about saying, well, these guys don't, Lisa really, well, I don't want to go. She
Yeah,
says, I'll get a knee replacement when they do them for women. Right.
Wow.
And she's right. I understand completely because a lot of stuff you're right. They discount pain. A lot of medical treatments are tested on men, not women, white people, not black people.
Literally just this month, the first study came out showing heavy bleeding they were testing tampons and period products using water, not blood. And
oh my God.
Based on those assessments. So this year is the first time they actually tested it using actual blood, and they don't absorb it as well, which means all the definitions for heavy bleeding have been wrong. So when you go to your doctor, so that's a very concrete example where you're like, what, in 2023?
Hard to believe.
Just now figured it out, huh?
Well, remember toxic shock syndrome. I mean, there are a lot of people made very ill by menstrual products that were not tested appropriately. Wow. All right, but still, if you had pancreatic cancer, I would check with a physician.
Cancer is different.
I would check with a physician.
Right.
I just would.
Right.
And then say, well, I'm a woman.
Don't check with a podcaster.
Yeah, don't ask a podcasters maybe less experienced in that. SGE, Google's what is it? Search. It's their experimental search engine. What is it?
Neva?
It's their AI.
I wish it were. It's the AI. Yeah.
They're out of business.
I just had to throw a jab at you.
Is going to start offering AI-powered key points. Now, this is in the Google Labs experiments, so you'd have to be using Chrome and signed in to the Google experiments and stuff. But this is the first time that they've actually let AI appear outside search results. So, I think kind of interesting. They call SGE while browsing an early experiment to test how generative AI can help you navigate information online and get to the core of what you're looking for even faster. So you'll get, when you use the Google app for Android or iOS, you'll see a bottom panel with a purple info icon and a corner sparkle. Look for the corner sparkle to get AI-powered key points. Tapping Generate slides up 2 tabs with the existing About This page and related insights appearing. The key points from the page will be a bulleted list, so it's actually taking the contents.
Okay.
Here's an example: National Park Service Route 66 overview on the left. Here, show the screen. Can you do that? Yeah. There, and then on the right, this is the SGE AI. This is a little bit like Bing, yes. Generative AI, bullet points from the article, stuff that you might want to ask about. What year did they start Route 66? And you click it and it jumps to that part of the page. I think that's cool. On the desktop version of Chrome, you'll see a new Google search like this. This is what Chrome looks like, Google search side panel that joins existing ones for reading lists, bookmarks, and journeys. So you see there's a little G. I guess you click that.
Mr. Jarvis, what do you think publishers will think of this?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question, Dan. Very good question. I think I'll be stupid about it, but I think, that it's not a bad thing. I was talking about this with somebody. Switzerland is trying to do an anti snippet law now, following everybody else.
Right.
And a journalist asked me about this, and I had mentioned that in the research that I did years ago, whole articles were a more effective means of click-through than snippets. So it could well be that your targeted interest will be drawn. On the other hand, I was mad at myself. I didn't get a screenshot of this today because I was part of a brief Google experiment without knowing it. I went in and I often ask for.
Is that okay?
I think I'll be okay. I have a third arm. Well, I keep on changing color here. That's what it is. Oh no! I guess Google irradiated me. Oh no! Sorry.
Quick, go to dark mode.
Yes.
Oh, shush. Okay. All right, fine.
There.
Yes.
Much better.
As I was saying, see, the thing about the hair is it even comes out in dark mode. That's the good news. All right. So I was searching for a definition, define, and a word, and in the search bar itself expanded with a definition in the search bar and links to synonyms and antonyms and full definition. And it wasn't like I went to the page and it had that.
Oh, wow.
It was an expanded box. in the search bar
Already
on my
figuring
browser.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I should have taken a screenshot for the sake of the show. I messed up. But I think we're going to see more and more and more of that, obviously. And AI is going to push it farther. Publishers will complain, but they shouldn't. But they will.
Well, I only asked that because of looking at the mobile view here in this Engadget article. The desktop view is one thing. It looks like you could still potentially get credit for the publisher, but going down in that mobile view, it looks like,
oh, that's a good point.
Maybe sort of bypassing. Not intentionally, but I could see where an argument would come from.
It'd be kind of like going up against a bollard.
Would you?
I'm still enjoying the bollards very much.
Yes, clearly.
It's pretty amazing. There's bollards made to look like animals and sheep. And
you kind of bollard-dullard now.
And I'm seeing bollards
Are we still in the
destroying
changelog?
vehicles.
Yeah, we're still in a changelog. That was a changelog.
I'm not, but you are.
I feel like I'm still someplace.
I'm seeing an
Google is adding AI to Google Photos. If you use Google Photos on your phone, and it's only available, it's going to be kind of random choice among Google account holders in the U.S. You'll be able to use generative AI to organize your photos. So you can take a memory, you click the Help Me title button to receive AI-generated suggestions. Here's an example from Android Police. Click Memories. And these are ones that Google generates, but if you want to get the AI's help, you can, let's see, what do? You click, I guess it's making it. It's making it as we speak. That's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know how it's different from what Google's doing.
That's what it is.
Anyway.
Yeah, they kind of already do it.
I mean,
it's just better.
Now it's AI,
and
so
it just lets you know it's done. You didn't have to actively go in there. It's just sort of already doing it. What is this about?
I don't know. It's just the Google changelog. I thought I had some really good stuff in here. Should we do a quick Scooter X changelog? Google Photos updated with new navigation bars, scrapbook-like memorized, generative AI. Google Assistant support on older watches ending soon. Wear OS 3 Plus required. Desktop Chrome adds Google Search side panel for sticky results. Big Gboard update. Preps stylus handwriting, mini voice typing UI, generative AI stickers, and more. Pixel Fold supports spatial audio through its built-in speakers. YouTube Shorts will block links because spammers ruin everything good. And Google Slides will let you draw and annotate when presenting. Plus, Google discovers getting an air quality card, which is nice.
Nice.
And that's the Google and Scooter X changelog. We are...
Good job, Scooter X.
Good job. Good boy, Scooter. We are going to...
Throw him a treat, will you?
With a name like Scooter X, you kind of want to go, you're such a good boy. You're such a good boy, Scooter X. You're such a good boy. You know what, Scooter X? If I get a dog, I'm naming him Scooter X. Or just Scooter.
Why not just Scooter?
Scooter's a good name for a dog.
Yeah, it is.
How come we don't name dogs like George or Fred?
Or Leo.
Or Leo.
People do.
People do.
When we come back, a very special pick of the week, and we are going to celebrate. Stacy, you have a choice. You can have a melon bar, an egg bar, a music dance experience, or waffle party. Which would you prefer?
Waffle Party.
All right, coming up, Waffle Party when
fixed.
we return.
That was fixed.
And now it's time for waffles. Da, 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 da. Yes, they're from Eggo Waffles, made in America's heartland.
Oh, not your ones
Eggo
like last
Waffles
week.
have fine ingredients like starch and quarks.
Riboflavin.
Enriched flour, sugar, leavening, contains 2% or less of salt, fructose, eggs, whey, vanilla beans, extract.
All the gluten you need.
Are they warm?
Yeah,
Those
we
are the
toasted them.
Skitty waffles.
Really? You can't?
Is
there a difference?
Those are the original. Okay, so we get the fluffy Belgian ones, but those are still decent.
Why
Enjoy your
are we
waffle.
having a waffle party? Well, because we have some sad news and we're trying to drown our sorrows in egos.
Oh, I thought we were celebrating.
Well, we're not celebrating really. But, you know, when you say goodbye to a beloved member of the crew, you sometimes have to have a party so you don't cry. Stacy got a job.
I did.
Congratulations. So I'm happy about that. Yeah, happy about that. But some changes coming. Tell us about it.
Yes. Do you want me to tell people or?
Yeah. Well, if you want to, it's only
no.
Not. I don't know.
It's your job, though. It's your life.
Yeah.
So I am going to. Kevin and I are stepping back for the Internet of Things podcast and the weekly newsletter.
Oh.
So our last newsletter goes out Friday, and our last podcast will go out next Thursday. And as part of that. And I'm stopping because we're burnt out. I'm not stopping. I mean, it still was a decent business. It was fine, but we were tired. We've been doing it. It's hard to do news alone for so long. And I got bored. And so I got a new job, and I am going to be a consultant for Consumer Reports.
Oh, yay! That's fantastic.
Wonderful.
But we did not.
Did I not tell you all that?
No, we knew you were leaving. We didn't know why. I blame myself, frankly. But
I was hoping for Stacy's Waffle House.
He probably didn't read the email.
That's a huge relief. So you're going to work for Consumer Reports. That's great.
Yeah, I'm going to be a consultant for them, and I'm trying my hand at public policy to advocate for better cybersecurity and privacy rights.
Needs to be done.
Related to
These are all things that our friend Craig Newmark cares about deeply. He's formerly on the board of Consumer Reports, loves cybersecurity. I'm sure Craig is cheering right now for you, though we're losing you, and that's not worthy of cheering.
Yeah, so I might come back on occasion for but you know,
we know
I'm not technically.
Nicholas De Leon, who writes about technology, he's a staffer, is allowed to be on. So I hope they would allow you to come on from time to time. I know you're really sick of me, but if you feel like it and I'm not here, you can come on the show. We'd love to.
Yeah, no, it's more like I feel.
New start.
So I'm not a journalist anymore.
Yeah, new
under
start.
this.
Yeah, I know. I can understand that. Okay, so so what are you? If you're not a journalist, you're not.
I'm advocating for public policy, but like to me, the distinction is I won't be covering. Like I could never advocate for consumer rights and the Consumer Reports position on something that like Google is doing, and then call Google and write about it.
Yes, that makes sense. And one of the things that I love about Consumer Reports is their ethical standards are as high as it gets. I mean, they really are the standard. They take no ads.
That's what I love about them too.
I'm really happy to.
Are you going to be going to visit Yonkers a lot?
Yeah, I don't know.
$50 million headquarters. I hear they have a nice hotel inside for only $99 a night. And all the waffles you can eat. Well, we're going to really...
So that's what I'm doing.
We're going to miss you.
I'll miss you guys.
We're going to miss you. Congratulations, though. I think it's a great use of your...
that's just awesome.
Strong knowledge and moral standing.
Joe Esposito for the win.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe Esposito.
Yeah. Beautiful Joe.
Yeah. So, hey, congratulations. That's really fantastic. We will miss you, but I do hope you'll come back from time to time. We're not going to, at this time, replace Stacy, but it's an opportunity to have people like Joan Donovan, Kathy Gellis, Glenn Fleischman, Mike Elgin rotate in that position. And you know, maybe eventually if we could find somebody half as good as Stacy, we'll hire him. But we're going to really miss you. You've been. And by the way, I did a little search, and I found the first time you were on our network, which was ages ago, August 11th, 2010. You were a guest with Jeff and Gina Trapani on a show called Carrier Humping Net Neutrality Surrender Monkeys. Who could forget that?
Such a great title.
That I guess was the first time we met. And then you were on Tech News Weekly and so forth, but then Gina Trapani moved on and you joined us May 25th, 2016, starting with episode 354, This Week in Google, and have been with us for quite some time. That's 7 years plus.
Multiply every week times 4 hours. Boy, that's a lot of life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
She says, yeah.
we never
Like, whoa.
We never
Did I
did
really
get
do
that punching machine built into the monitor there, but we did at least get Ant.
No, we have an AI. Right?
We have an Ant to do that.
I would like to have an old home week show with both Gina and Stacy.
I would love to do that, and that's actually a really good idea. So, Jason,
Did you
maybe we
call it
should
the
work
Old
on
Ho Week show?
Home.
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 Jesus, where is your mom?
Jeff, you're ruining it for all of us.
Jeez.
I did not expect that from you.
Stacy, do you
Oh gosh.
have a thing of the week? Actually,
do.
it's appropriately named.
Yeah.
The Homie Pro.
It's the Homie Pro. This is, we did a review on, and I showed you the Homie Bridge. I don't have the Homie Pro right now because I'm sending everything back. Kevin actually tested this one. This is the fancier version of something I showed y'all a couple weeks back.
Oh,
It is
yeah,
a $399 smart home hub. It's got Zigbee. It's got C-Wave. It'll have Matter. It'll have like weird 1900 megahertz protocols and infrared and
Thread. It has Thread. Or
and
will.
Thread and
Yeah.
It does have the Thread radio because it's anyway. So the key here is this is made by a European company that's very focused on privacy. So when you buy it, there is an option to pay a $1 a month or 99 cents a month subscription free for cloud backup for everything, but otherwise everything runs locally in your home and will forever.
Nice.
Or until it breaks.
Does this work with Home Assistant? What is the software?
So I think Home Assistant and Homey Pro may talk. It is a home assistant.
It has its own
except
software. Okay.
It has its own software. And so its software is really nice to use. They have on the web, they have a GUI, a graphical interface for like creating what they call flows. And they have a lot of good, it's not just if-then statements. You've got else statements. You can kind of join a bunch of stuff together. It's a very powerful hub if you're still into hubs.
Kevin was able to use it with his Casetas, his Hughes, Sonos speakers. Did not work, according to his review, and you should read his review on Stacy on IoT.com, with a Schlage lock, the Ecobee, the Nanoleafs, the Go V electric kettle. He has a lot of crap. The Wyze cameras, the Eve home devices, the Logitech video doorbell, or any of his smart plugs.
Yeah, with all that's his Matter. Like some of that is Thread. Like he's got a lot more Thread stuff in his house now. So some of that'll work over time. It worked really well with a good number of my devices. Okay. But yeah, you should always, with any hub, you should check. But you can also use it and write your own drivers and then launch it on the Homey App Store. So if you're feeling snazzy that way, you could do that.
It has an API.
Anyway.
So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
it's a nice platform.
That. Yeah. I don't know how we're going to survive without your IoT input. Because honestly, I've always said, I have to ask Stacy before we do this. Mm-hmm.
And y'all asked, book club is still on for
good.
September 1st?
Yes. Yes.
It's September something. I can't remember.
I think we moved it, didn't we? Just because. Let me check our Club Twit events here.
It's either August 31st or September something.
No, you're right. It's the end of the month. Oh gosh, I can't remember.
You're the man.
Do you guys have a calendar?
We do. 7 events. Here we go. Home Theater Geeks, Photo Walk. There it is, August 31st, 9 a.m. You'll still be doing that translation state, but this will be your last one?
We haven't really talked about it.
You're more than welcome
like
to keep
the book club.
Yeah, let's
take that sale.
Yeah.
But I don't, yeah.
Well,
I like talking about books.
I'll defer to you, and if you're
I'll say this, I definitely need you because I don't know any of these books, and I only get introduced to them because you bring them up.
It's Stacy's book club, not Ant's book club. Ant's book club would be a comic book. It'd be something else. It wouldn't be this.
Oh no, it'd actually be more like ESPN and Fox Sports 1.
Let's all sit down with Ant and watch the NFL together. Actually, I'd love to do that with you. That'd be fun. That might be another.
There you go,
event.
watch party.
Yeah, watch party. Stacy, do come back and do the book club if you wish. We'd love that, but I'll let you decide that later. we're really going to miss you. It's
Yep.
You've made this
Happy to
show.
miss you guys.
Your expertise both in IoT and CPUs has really made a difference.
Spectrum.
Yeah, we don't know nothing.
Spectrum.
So getting somebody on with actual-
no more spectrum.
Millimeter wave.
I bet you're happy not to be talking about thread and matter for the rest of your life, to be honest. That's great.
I still will
I'm
be,
thrilled. I'm thrilled. You think you'll be going to Washington to talk to members of Congress and lobbying them and trying to get some good stuff going? I hope you do that. They must
Gonna give it a try.
They must have a policy arm and a lobbying arm, yeah?
Well, they do.
Yeah.
They have a policy. So I'm working for their innovation lab.
Nice.
And then doing the policy work. I'm working for both their policy and their innovation side.
That's great.
So
As Real Bodie says in our IRC, it's really hard to understand why Stacy would leave a show with a grumpy old guys on it. But
Yeah.
oh, I love you guys.
we love you.
Y'all are fun to
we're gonna
tease
totally.
and talk
I'm not
totally
old.
miss you. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
You're just
I
grumpy.
love all you old guys at Ant.
and the old guys.
I'm going to have grumpy moments, but
That's
I'm
the
not
name
old.
of the
Don't
new
put it
show.
on me yet.
People say, why you call it This Week in Google? So we're going to change it to Ant and the Old Guys starting next week. Thank you, Stacy. Jeff, you got a number?
So this is a quick one, but line one. So you turn your sound up. Make sure your sound's up. It's very fast.
Oh, boy.
Line 101.
Here we
She
go.
introduced Grandpa to TikTok.
Aw. And how old is Grandpa? 58? Okay, here we go.
Now back it up. Jeez, you always mess this up. Sound on. Start to turn the sound on. The sound's not on. You got to have the sound on. Jesus, how often can I tell you? The sound's not on. You ruined the joke.
The sound's on. What are you talking? Oh,
No, it's
introduce
not. Look right
Grandpa
there.
to TikTok.
How long you been using
If
the
you would
computer?
just tell me how this works.
Grandpa.
Sounds just like me.
It really does.
Yeah, Grandpa's about my age. I hate to say it.
How can you not laugh at that? Yep.
Yeah, that's cute. I know that feeling.
Good one.
Mr. Pruitt, anything for us?
Two things I wanted to plug real quick. As part of my paying dues, I had the honor and pleasure to be able to meet up with Miss Lisa Carney this past weekend, and she's got a photo tutorial coming up here, smartphone photography tutorial coming up here at Donner Lake, at the Donner Lake Memorial Park. So if you're in the Truckee area, Reno
cool.
area, and it's on August 26th. I put this link in the show notes because her website's
Here it
not
is.
quite up to snuff, but it's August 26th. But she's going to be doing a live lesson about smartphone photography at the beautiful Donner Lake, and I'm telling you, it's a treat if you can get there. So
It's a campfire program in the amphitheater, and details at the parks.ca.gov page.
it is.
That sounds great. It's one of their interpretive programs. They do wonderful stuff there. That'll be fun.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
I won't be able to make it because that is at the time of our photo walk.
Well, I guess I won't be able to make it either then. Mhm. Nice.
So there's that.
Okay.
Next, I want to give a shout out to the folks in Maui, and thoughts and prayers are with them.
kidding.
And Mr. Brian Chi, our co-host on This Week in Enterprise Tech, found a great resource of where you can actually help with money. And it's not scams. You can help online, and they also have ways that if you want to help in person. And it's MauiNow.com. We'll have this link in our show notes, and it's got all of the applicable places where you can provide help to the folks in Maui, because quite honestly, y'all, it's going to take money for this. Just if you can spare a couple bucks, please do. I recently shared on Twitter, or X, by the way, College Hardhead has a classmate that was affected by this, and they lost their house.
Oh, boy.
And they sent me a GoFundMe, and they were almost at the goal. I tweeted it, and that goal got met. So thank
good.
you,
See?
all your folks there,
X is good.
for helping to get that
Still
need
is.
met. And I believe people are still donating to it. So throw money at this. I wish our president would take all of those billions of dollars that they want to send somewhere else in the world to help people right here in our own home in Hawaii. And
Well, actually, there's a huge amount of money coming to Hawaii in the infrastructure.
I hope so.
Yeah, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hope so.
I might imagine some of that might get diverted now instead of infrastructure.
Man.
Very good. I agree. MauiNow.com.
Yep. Oh, and also Joe, again, in New York. I call him like a Joe here in Club Twit. He is still willing to host a live photo walk if you're in the tri-state area. Again, if you're interested, shoot me a message, tag me here in Discord, what have you, so we can get y'all together and have a nice little photo walk, similar to what we're going to do here in Petaluma.
Nice. Somebody's asking about Doc Rock. He lives in Oahu, so I'm sure he's fine.
Right.
I am a little concerned. Becky Worley grew up in Maui, and her family lives in Lahaina, so I
saw a tweet.
Her family's safe. I know that.
She said they were safe.
I don't know about their house.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll follow up on that. Thank you, Aunt. Thank you, Jeff. And thank you especially, and a farewell to our beloved Stacy. Thanks to John Slanina for buying a bunch of Eggo waffles.
Yeah, thanks, John.
3 whole boxes.
I feel celebrated.
Thick and fluffy, and the original chocolatey chip, just for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
John warned me that I couldn't find a waffle. All I could find was a cookie that looks like one.
That's good.
I mean, I accept cookies.
That's a mouse waffle. Give a mouse a waffle. Yep. Stacy, we wish you all the best, and do stay in touch so we can get you on, because we would.
No, she's never in tune. We know that about her.
Stay out of tune.
That is true.
But stay in touch. That's all I ask. And we wish you all the best. I'm thrilled for you. It sounds like a perfect job for you.
Do God's work as ever.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. Here's a tweet. Thank you, Scooter X, from Becky. I went into Lahaina yesterday with a convoy delivering supplies, what they need.
Wow.
Immediately is ice, gas, and propane. What they need next is power and cell service. And what they really need is FEMA and dollars. And she has a link on X to the charity that she's giving to.
Outstanding.
So she must have flown out just to be with her family. She grew up and went to school in Hawaii. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will see you next time on Twig. Bye-bye. Bye. No more 3-hour marathon, waffle-less marathons, Stacy.
It's midweek, and you really want to know even more about the world of technology.
So you should check out Tech News Weekly, the show where we talk to and about the people making and breaking the tech news.
It's the biggest news. We talk with the people writing the stories that you're probably reading. We also talk between ourselves about the stories that are getting us even more excited about tech news this week.
So if you're excited, well, then join us. Head to twit.tv/TNW to subscribe.